crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near, in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares too. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Music keeps me on alone. You Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Oh yeah, take you like a pill. Am I
eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Collegiate R6. Happy Friday, happy weekend. It's all upon us here. And you know what else is upon us, Chief? We've got the semifinals of the Premier Invite League playoffs. As always, it is a pleasure to be with you here tonight. My name is Jays Wills, and joining me on the desk once again, it is, of course, the sexiest man in T3 and a man after my own heart. It is Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Cleanest Room in all of CR6 and all of casting for that matter. And we have a great series today, Texas Tech versus the Redbirds. And we're in the Final Four, the last stage before we go to the Grand Finals. This is going to put our rosters in quite a predicament. Are you going to be bringing out your best strategies today? Or are you going to be hiding them and trying to gamble the fact that you're going to be in that grand final? Because at the end of the day, you want to have as little VODs on the market as possible, because you don't want the other coaches to start to prep their games and punish you with their own strategies.
A fair point, but you mentioned, that's those strats and if you want to hide them or not. But for ISU, for Illinois State here, they need to pull everything out that they possibly can. It is an underdog story in the works. Texas Tech is, of course, the team, one of those teams favored to go all the way, the only team really talked about to have a chance to go toe to toe with the beasts of Akron. This Texas Tech team looks very strong. It is a frag heavy team. They just throw every gun at you they possibly can. And so they have had their eyes on Akron this entire season. But they have ISU to get through, and ISU would love to finish off the underdog story. They are coming off an epic win against Purdue, and Texas Tech are coming off a rather rocky win against Michigan Tech. They squeaked out a victory in round 15 of the decider map in a 1v3 clutch by, I believe, Fatal Fister himself. So that is a tough way to go into the semifinals, a tough way to kick off what could be potentially the last match of the season. So now they're here to rebuild that confidence and, I guess, try to stomp ISU into the ground as hard as they possibly can.
And no better place to start the stomping ground than our map choices of today. And in CollegiateR6, they tend to emulate the professionals. They like to bring out the plays and the maps that the pros do. But the thing is, Here in CR6 and in T3, they don't quite have the in-depth map pool, so they tend going to the same maps over and over again. It tends to be the organs, the clubhouses, and sometimes the cafes. But cafe falls in the last seconds of the ban phase, and it's going to be Coastline, a map designed for fraggers. It's a very small map, strategy goes straight out the window, and head clicking comes in.
Well, I would say heading to that decider map would be death for ISU. I would have said that 2 weeks ago. But after they beat Purdue, a team of absolute frag stars, on Coastline, they showed me that they can vibe on that map as well. So I am not going to count ISU out of this fight. Of course, there are many questions over our head about both ISU and Texas Tech. Of course, for ISU, all eyes will be on Snail. Can this man go positive for one series in the playoffs? Big question marks there, and we're going to have to find out. On the side of Texas Tech, all of us are wondering how strong will Gassy Gama and Fatal Fister actually be? These two players have been the stars of this team. Not only their names that are making everyone turn their eyes to this team, but their ability to be so persistent, so frag heavy, and just so obnoxious when it comes to allowing teams to enter the map when they're playing defense. I mean, these players are a brick wall, but instead they wield a gun and they mow down the attackers in their path, really showing echoes of a Simon Fraser roster from several seasons ago, a roster that was actually able to beat Akron, something that almost no other team ever has said that they have done. So both of these teams looking to kick things off strong as we head into this one.
And Texas Tech does have that ace up their sleeve. They have T3 comp experience. Now, a lot of collegiate players, they don't have the opportunity of scrimming beyond, well, the college scene. And Texas Tech, not only do they have that option of scrimming T3 rosters, but they've had the experience of actually playing in T3 leagues. That level of knowledge they can apply to everything they do in Siege. So the Redbirds are going to have to find something to shut that down because sure, Texas Tech is a roster of purebred fraggers that are just going to slam you in every corner, but they also have strong strategies, and that tends to be, well, the fatal blow to too many rosters in any form of Rainbow Six Siege.
Well, we're going to have to see exactly how map 1 is going to shake out, and it's going to start off in, of course, the operator ban phase. It's Oregon. It is people of Siege everywhere, and these operator bans usually fall in the very same vein. Thatcher, the first off the board. No surprise there. No one wants to deal with those EMP grenades. The second ban, that's going to be Maverick. Also, not a surprise whatsoever. That is the perfect operator to just skirt around any hard breach denial that a defensive team could throw on down, taking the Surrey Torch out of play. A smart decision for any defensive team.
Now, the defensive bans have been up in the air. People are banning everything under the sun. Cades have gone through, but also we've seen a lot of Goyos. And it just really depends on how the defense wants to function and how they want to basically attack throughout the map. Because if you ban a Goyo, that means there's less of those explosive shields, which means the mini games you have to deal with are a little bit less. But when you ban out the Kaid, it's another mini game that you're trying to mitigate. You just want to deal with that wall pressure in an easier manner. Because if there's a kite on the wall, well, good luck opening it. And you couple that with the first two attacker bans, the Maverick and the Thatcher, opening up walls are incredibly difficult. This is going to force the attackers to possibly bring out a Cali or go for the more advanced style of takes, taking that bottom floor first and then utilizing that vertical destruction and then removing those electric units that way.
Well, Fortra will be the player to bring out those bandit batteries in round number 1. ISU will, of course, be starting on the defensive side. This now will be their chance to set the rhythm of this series and see if they can hold on for at least one map. If ISU can take a map and force Coastline, not only would they be in their heads, or in Texas Tech's heads rather, but then they'd go to Coastline, a map that they have proved they have quite a bit of strength on. But going into this one, it's the attacking team who has the ability to come out really strong, come out firing on all cylinders, and with Espen bringing out the Zero and the cameras that Sam Fisher brings along with him. The information game is clearly going to be a focus for this Texas Tech roster, and as a part of that information, the aggression often is soon to follow. You've got nades from Fatal Fister that can capitalize on that information, and you've got Cryptics and Gassy Gama both bringing quite a bit of that soft destruction utility in the form of those breaching rounds and the lifeline of the impact grenades or the impact charges that the Zofia often wields. We're seeing how ISU elects to bring this setup. You've got Snail rolling with that hard support. That smoke is going to be the play there, bringing 2 deployable shields, both on Harabic, the Ella, and on the smoke as well. You're bringing the cams of the Evil Eyes from Hooked Up, so the information game is also going to be a focus for this defensive team as well.
Something that concerns me about Texas Tech is there's no throwables to be seen. Not a single set of flashbangs are being brought, but we have 3 sets of claymores. And if you're trying to shut down flank watch, claymores could work well, but the problem is they can be shot for free. The 3 red lasers are very bright and obnoxious in the defender's faces. The likelihood of them grabbing their target is very low. Now, if you start to place those outside of windows, that's where they really find their use. And we've seen a lot of defenders start to fly out windows, particularly on the south side of the map. But so far, only 1 Claymore has been placed throughout this round. And the real linchpin, the apex point for the defenders, are going to be those deployable shields. Fortunately for the attackers, they have plenty of explosives, but they're still going to have to bypass those ADSs.
Well, with now the wall being opened from that closet side, the game's crossfire is soon to be established. You've got Fatal Fister here looking for any information for a possible trophy swing, and you've got Gassy Gama working their way over from the double window. Applying pressure from this west side of the site is a crucial component of any successful top floor attacks, and it is clearly a component that Texas Tech fully understand and realize how significant just more pressure on crossfires on the site can be. With that, the defensive pressure will be strained. They'll have to focus on other parts of the site, and Hooked Up will no longer be able to contest this angle here on the breach. You've got Fortra, of course, on the roam, looking to possibly make his presence felt later by a good flank, possibly onto Cryptics here, but Cryptics could also be in a very good position to make his presence felt, taking down Harabic to kick this series off in the favor of Texas Tech. Fortra still a factor, but so is Cryptic, now pushing up the white stairs, looking for one, but behind. That is Fortra, who gets the trade after Hooked Up falls. Fatal Fister gets another, taking down Snail, casting things to a 4v2 with a diffuser going down.
Shots exchanged, but Fortuna's still on the white stairs. He needs to be dealt with relatively quickly. But as we go into a post plane, he's going to have to retreat and regroup with his fellow German comrade. But back and forth they go. Positions locked out. It's looking very impossible for the defense, and indeed it will be. Texas Tech able to bulldog their way into the bomb site and find themselves a strong round 1 victory.
Well, Texas Tech, they started things off in the way we would expect. They approached that site with ease. They did not get contested in terms of map control. They got the closet wall open within the first minute, and from there, it was all about the information game that we highlighted just before the round. In combination with the Zero and excellent drone work from every single player from all sides of the bomb site, they figured out exactly what they needed to do and how they needed to approach the site itself and take out those defenders. You add Cryptics in the mix, in Ash up white stairs, such a staple of the Siege, especially in ranked, just throwing a player on the white stairs, but even in comp, a surprise like that when the defenders are already so set up on the bomb site can be absolutely lethal. That's why the Ash found 2 really big impact frags, especially shutting down the Maestro, who's not only key for that plant denial, but who was holding down the breach with an Alda, with 81 bullets ready to shut down any player willing to make the mistake of walking into that site. But once the Maestro fell, once the Ella fell, site control fell right behind it. So Illinois State, an unsuccessful round 1, but they did look like they had some semblance of understanding of how to defend this site, and as such, they will be looking to do it once again in round number 2.
I like the attacking lineup from Texas Tech a lot more. The ace, or not the ace, the zero did not provide the utility I think Texas Tech wanted. They're utilizing those aces as a flank watch system, which could be very great because you don't have to rely on those drones. If you put drones throughout the map, well, that means you won't have drones to actually clear out the map. What the problem with that is it still forces somebody to be on flank watch duty and cycling through cams. And the way Texas Tech is playing, they like this fast pace of Siege where they're just pushing on through. If they have a mini game in front of them, they just deal with it instantaneously. And when you have these air jabs in play from the Nomad, it's going to allow them to have a lot more fluidity with their executes because after all, Cryptix did lose his life to a big flank from behind, and those air jabs will alert if some type of pressure is coming from a position that Texas Tech isn't prepared for.
Well, once again in round number 2, you've got Texas Tech preparing this onslaught onto the site, but Fortra is going to have something to say about that, and the big window pressure will no longer be a factor. That's Gassy Gama taken off the board. And now with the closet wall fully open wide and Fatal Fister looking eager to challenge on into the bomb site itself, Illinois State are remaining a bit passive here. They're playing safe, just waiting for Texas Tech to force them out. They know the gun skill of Texas Tech is a force to be reckoned with. Instead, they will opt to just hide behind these breaches, hide behind these deployable shields, and force Texas Tech into the uncomfortable position, looking for any edge they can get. The nades will rain on through, and so will the bullets from Hooked Up, sending Cryptix to an early grave.
The attackers are all on the east side of the map. This should prompt Texas Tech to make the rotation to at least big window. They need to start setting up a crossfire. And you can see that Illinois State has trained all of their bullets towards the east. All their gun barrels are very active and waiting for members of Texas Tech to, well, push the breaches that they opened up. They spent all that Selma utility to do. And time really isn't on the side of Texas Tech. They're going to like to get very aggressive. Fatal's going to now fall. At least S-Pin is there to get the refrag. A nice back and forth between these two rosters. But it wasn't quite what Texas Tech needed. They need to swing and push together as a team. Another solo push for S-Pin, and it's going to cost him his life. It has now bait the IGL in a possible situation. A 1v4 with 30 seconds left on the clock. His position has still been known, and those shots from that AK-12 will reconfirm his location. Back and forth he goes. He knows there's members actively hunting him. Snail's gonna get too aggressive, loses life with the SMG-11. It's now very much doable for Bait as he's able to find those 2 free kills. But Illinois State has completely relocated. There are no drones in the back pocket of Bait, so he's gonna have to face check every single possibility. He does have the diffuser, which means he can go for the plant, but he's gonna have to start that plant now. And as we enter Sub-Zero, it won't even matter. The time goes to Illinois State.
That time, the clock, that 11th man in the lobby being such a positive influence on the round for Illinois State. The strategy we mentioned they were taking just a bit earlier, the fact that they were choosing to play more passively and play the clock out. It worked so well for them there in round number 2. They forced Texas Tech to really get aggressive, and Texas Tech not finding the kills that they were searching for earlier in the round clearly got a little bit disjointed. They were hunting for those frags, and that unit style of play, the 5-man push that they had in round number 1, just wasn't quite there in round number 2. So something to work on for both of these teams as we head into round number 3, and we head downstairs to laundry room and supply room. Just like the top floor and just like most bomb sites in Siege, it's all about crossfires when attacking either supply or laundry room. Often we see teams go for a freezer and main stairs push. You establish your laundry crossfire that way, and you lock off any rotations using that freezer wall. The other option, of course, is that push from J Bunker. You enter from that construction side, and then you work your way into pillar, eventually establishing your crossfire onto supply room instead. Either one of these strategies equally viable. It's all about reading exactly what this defensive team is going to bring to the table and figuring out your choice of countering that.
Now, something that did concern me from round two was the fact that Bait was even able to find 2 kills. We saw members of the Redbird roster just swinging as individuals that started off with Snail. You can almost see the mind shift that they had, where they're like, you know what, I want to start to pad my stacks. I want to get these kills. And the problem with that type of mentality, it's a very selfish mentality. And as soon as you start to swing things, a round that was a 1v4 suddenly went to a 1v2. And we're saying that everybody in Texas Tech is a gunner. Even their support IGL of Bait will slam you given the right circumstances. And well, the Redbirds put those circumstances on a golden platter. So they're going to have to change how they communicate as they go into the dying seconds of a round. And here's Texas Tech. They're going to bully their way almost to the bomb site. They now have control of Boiler, and it seems like nobody from Illinois State seems to be prepared for this level of aggression.
Yeah, Snail once again an ill-advised challenge. Harabic joining his fallen teammate in the grave. Hooked up will find the response. The Alda finding the head of Cryptix, but still, ISU find themselves in a tough 2v4 situation. Patience on the long haul looking to answer back. So is Hooked Up going for the aggressive play. Bait finally punishes that after a Fatal Fister was cast out of this round, and now it is all up to Patience. He's got a 1v3 on his hands, and the Diffuser now going down, soon to be a post-plant situation. Texas Tech, they're going to play this retake passively. They're going to simply wait for Patience to make the move, of course, because now the defender has become the attacker. Now Patience has to take these very challenging fights. Gassy Gama silencing the patient player himself, and Texas Tech find another successful attacking round.
The problem with complicated setups is, well, they're complicated, which means they take a lot of time. And you can see the Redbirds were still in the process of putting all their utility down range. Texas Tech made a great job at identifying what was happening in that exact second. Bade made the call for the execute, and they just pushed the door for it. And as soon as the Redbirds started to take damage and they realized that fast execute, they needed to call, hey, the attackers are crashing and we need to crash back on them. We need to fight this fire with fire, because if we play this passively and don't start to swing as a unit, we're going to get picked off one by one. And since that call was never made by the defense, members of the Redbirds started to get picked off one by one. And you can see they even attempted to make a flank back up those north stairs. But since the attackers had already so much real estate underneath their belt, they just were waiting for members of Illinois State to just shift W their way into their own demise. So Illinois State needs to make an adaptation. Now, fortunately for the Redbirds, though, they have been capable of making adaptations. Because remember, back in round number 1, Texas Tech had a phenomenal round victory. They just basically steamrolled into the bomb site and won. Round 2, they tried to recreate that and failed. So hopefully, Illinois State is able to learn what they learned from round 2, apply that to round 3, and then actually execute upon that in round 4.
Well, Chief, the point you brought up is, it's simply so hard to strike the proper balance between aggressive peaks and peaking as a team and over-peaking, overstaying your welcome, and really throwing away really strong moments that you might have for a defensive team. I mean, this is why there are so many levels to this game. There's pros at this game for a reason. It's hard to know on defense when to cower behind the shield and wait, and when to swing out and take a gunfight. It's a balance that us casters talk about all the time, because it's such a noticeable shift in a round when one team goes for that aggression, just like Patience chose to display right there. It was a clear choice that the Jaeger made to risk his life for that peak onto Gassy Gama, but removing the pressure that Texas Tech can put on a site early and forcing Texas Tech onto the back foot. Those are some choices that can often help pay off in quite a big way. As we saw happen just a couple rounds ago, putting Texas Tech on the back foot really helped ISU in the long run. But of course, with Fortra falling off this round, getting taken down there, things will now even out both of these teams on equal footing here.
I don't like how Texas Tech is utilizing their drones. It's very haphazard and almost lazy. And round number 3, they had such a great job of identifying the map pressure and executing. Here in round number 4, they never even drone tower, which they did in the previous round, and they were able to win Zulu not based off a drone, but based off pure mechanical skill. And here's another scenario where the lack of flank drones might cost them dearly, as Arabic is starting to push through the stairs, catching one off guard. Espen is now going to fall, but there is somebody lurking very near over by Zulu. They will get the kill, and all of a sudden, it's now a 1v3. Hooked Up is alone on site. He's going to have to defend this with his lives. Fortunately for him, Fatal Fister is going to peek in a solo engagement. He will lose his life, and it is starting to look a little bit better for Illinois State, but not quite in the green zone as of yet.
Well, the green operator does have a C4 to work with, but get taken on down even before the bomb can go on down. The C4 will be of little relevance to save ISU from another successful Texas Tech attack. That was the story of round number 4. It was Texas Tech making it happen, even though there was a flank that they were susceptible to. They played together and they were nearby, close enough to find those refrag, remove the wary defender from play, take them on down, and eventually move on to the site. So yes, there were a couple of mistakes from both of those teams there, but Texas Tech did the better job of bouncing back from those mistakes and finding the immediate course correction when things went slightly awry. That is how they found the round number 4 victory. But moving on back to round number 5 and back to Kids and Dorms as the site that ISU are undertaking. They are looking to get this one here and utilize what they learned in round number 1, what they learned by winning a round in round number 2, to go into this one to try to repeat that round number 2 success.
Now, the last time we were here, Texas Tech was very linear with their execute. They wanted control of the East, and that is still a reasonable execute they can do. You can still lock down games from that position, but I would like Texas Tech to expand their hand just a little bit. At minimum, you have somebody spawn over to the west by Junkyard and have that individual just open up big window. This is going to cut down the highway that Illinois State is constantly being utilized, because Snail's going to make a rotation over between the walls between the A and B bomb site, and the defense is going to walk back and forth. That is a great opportunity to send nitro cells down away and also rotate from top white. But once you open up that big window, that rotation will not be viable, and they're going to have to rotate to the pit side of attic. And as soon as you open up small games, it just isn't viable anymore. And actually, Texas Tech is going to change up their execute entirely. They're not going to do an east take at all. Instead, they're going to go with a north attic execute.
Well, I love to hear your take on this, Chief, but often we see teams either commit to one of these takes or the other, either that north side attic execute or that east side, that take from the master side instead. But in my experience, at least, it seems that the most success can be found when you do a little bit of both. You put maybe your Maverick over here on, or not in this, one of your hard breachers over there on the attic side, you put another on the closet side, and you work to establish that vice grip on the game's site to prevent any defender from playing attic, from playing games or trophy, all of those positions locked off by the attackers to eventually get that game's plant down. Chief, in your experience, which of these strategies or finds more success, or really which one do you prefer to really witness?
I go with all the above because I want to have as many tools in my toolbox. I want to try to open up north attic. Even if I don't go for that execute, I still have that as a rotation down the road. I also want to open up south games. That is a likely position for me to go, but maybe there's too much utility. Maybe there's deployable shields and I've lost my Ashe, or she's already spent all of her utility. You can then go through big games. The world is truly your oyster when you as an IGL has done your due diligence and set up your hand properly. You can also just drone sight and slam 3 people, and it's just an onslaught for Texas Tech. But one remains, as it's now Patience working his way up the white stairs. He might be caught out, but he's trying to be very sneaky beaky. Nobody seems to know until a spin on the flank launch catches him off. Texas Tech, they don't need macro strategy when they can just frag.
Well, Chief, and all that talking we did about strategy and the different macro takes that you can bring to this bomb site, well, Texas Tech seemed to hear us, and they seemed to say, shut up, guys. We're just going to go in there and absolutely click heads. It seemed that they did it, and in typical Texas Tech fashion, it worked with resounding success. Now with that 4-1 lead, looking for that 5-1, looking to just take Oregon immediately, decisively, without a second thought. To counter that, of course, ISU, they'll be heading back downstairs to the basement, a site that they have not found success on yet, this time opting to pull out the mirror, hoping that those black mirrors can be their savior.
I would honestly prefer the Redbirds to bring out a tertiary quaternary bomb site and just show something that Texas Tech hasn't seen. Now, I guess the counter argument to what I just said is, well, they are doing something different. The Mira is in play. But is it really changing how they're defending their bomb site? They're still doing a very traditional style anchor hold where they have the majority of their man count in the bomb site. They're going to waste time based on numbers in sight. But the closest they had was actually the Grandiose Rome, where they had members of their roster just basically everywhere throughout the map. But again, tertiary bomb site is at least something the attackers hadn't seen. And look at this Rome by Valkyrie over here by Small Tower. Now, she could throw a camera over by the bus and or that windmill and get a very aggressive run out on the Ash. She's working her way towards the map. Oh, here we go. Maybe Ash is going to lose her life. She has the information. She's just waiting for somebody, but nobody's on the receiving end as of yet.
Yeah, Cryptics opting for that construction side spawn, working their way around the other side of the building. No real worries there as of yet. Had this been a top floor take, you generally would expect a master bedroom presence from the attackers, but of course this is the basement. Attackers have a bit of a different priority in order, and it appears that the priority of Texas Tech won't be Freezer and it won't be main stairs right now. Once again, they are really showcasing their versatility as a roster, their ability to work their way in from really any angle at this point. You've got Fatal Fister teasing the tower push, and now you've got Gassy Gama going for that rotation over towards possibly this small tower side and this Freezer side. Cryptics taking a Gumine in the foot is very wary of the presence of both the Freezer Stairs player and the possibility of Patience lurking in the Showers Hall. Of course, Patience, his namesake, the attribute of the most successful roamers in the game, now forced to rotate above and play even more passively here. Establishing that rotate onto the kitchen hatch may be the saving grace the Valkyrie needs, but now being pressured from all sides, it's going to have to be frag out or die. Maybe stalling out the time could be enough here, but with Gassy Gama on the hunt and with one player watching that hatch drop, it is going to be tough for this Valkyrie to escape.
The drone has made a terrible error. They didn't catch him out. Patience almost finds the kill. A miraculous save by Texas Tech. Pure mechanical skill saving their lives. And Cryptics is going to attack onto the board as well. The majority off-site pressure has now been dealt with. And it seems like Illinois State is just struggling to find a foothold in this series. Now, this is not their map pick, so there's at least that in their favor. Cryptics are going to be able to find a second one, but they need to start to change something up as we dive sub 60.
Well, with Harabic nearly finding the kill, it's going to be Bait who finds it instead. Taking down Fortra, Harabic finds one. Fatal Fister with a decisive response. Goodbye, Harabic, and nearly saying goodbye to the hopes of ISU in this map. Of course, that's just half number one, but that was Texas Tech on the attack, ladies and gentlemen. This is Oregon, not to mention it's a defensive-sided game as a whole. You would expect a defensive team to come away with more than one round. Snail's presence here, getting 0 kills so far, really is characteristic of the overall success that ISU have had. They have had a couple of moments of glory, per se. They have had moments where it looked like their early aggression or their passiveness on the site. Really, a couple of elements were working here and there, but Texas Tech, they seem to have all the answers, and they are truly holding all the cards here on Oregon.
Now, the problem with Snail is I think he spent a little bit too long in the casting booth, and he's struggling to put his, try-hard panties back on. But nonetheless, he's going to find himself on that support role. And you can still be a critical asset to your roster without ever finding a kill, particularly on attack. If you are droning in your primary and secondary entries, and they are getting kills, you by proxy have also technically gotten a kill, because that drone provided critical information. And if we go back to round 6, the primary droner for Texas Tech made an error, and Patience totally should have got 2 free kills or at least done some significant damage. However, that wasn't the case because Texas Tech has great mechanical skill. So you kind of see the contrast between a strong droner and a less such droner. Now, Jay-Z, it's a possibility that we're seeing this map as an enigma, where it's suddenly become attacker sided. However, I don't fully believe that's the case. I think Texas Tech is just a master on Oregon, their own map pick.
Well, not only that, but they're a master of the aggression. And when I talked about specifically Fatal Fister and Gassy Game of pre-match, I really talked about their defensive prowess because on attack, Texas Tech looks like most teams. Of course, they have their fair share of aggression, but they do really look quite put together and quite disciplined and structured. Comparatively, on the defensive side, they really like to put one or two players, the two players I have aforementioned here, in strong power positions, holding very unique positions in a particular map. And they simply lock down those sites, almost sites or positions rather, similar in the way that Shaiko would on BDS, in that Pro League player who simply refuses to die when being pressured from all angles. That is exactly what Gassy Gama and Fatal Fister do. Cryptix has those moments as well, and on defense, those are the moments when they shine the most. But we're going to have to see if they can make that happen on this J bunker push as well. Fortra leading the charge now with the swing and the pre-fire, eventually removing bait from play, forcing Cryptix and Fatal Fister to back on up and maybe play this a little bit more passively.
That was quite a ballsy play by Bait. He reinforced himself into J, and he was there to die. He lost his deployable shield. He had to stand his ground. They're obviously just trying to do the big bait and switch, no pun intended, but it clearly did not work out well. Here comes the push from the attackers. Trades back and forth, but the attackers still have a +2 man advantage, and it's going to get even bigger for them. But things are going to quiet down for the time being as they reconfirm the locations of the 2 remaining members of Texas Tech. The attackers have plenty of drones and plenty of utility, and that final flashbang of Snail can go down range, lock one of those members out where he won't be able to shoot since the screen's all white. But Gassy Gamma is going to say something about that. Able to claim one. He still plays very aggressive. He's going to look the wrong way. That's going to be his undoing. Reloading is going to be the F2, and S-Pin's still back in this. He doesn't hear the plant going down. He's going to have to go for a swing. Nitrocell out, but it won't find his target as Patience saves a planter. Illinois State able to win their attacking round.
All right, so ISU making it happen here. We expressed some doubt, of course, about their attacking success, but Illinois State, for the time being, they're going to prove us wrong, finding pretty solid success attacking the basement bomb site, shutting down every Texas Tech defender who elected to get a little bit over aggressive. Maybe the fact that ISU can read into this style, have quite a bit of VOD to review on Texas Tech. They are going to be quite prepared here on attack. But of course, we're going to have to wait to find out. One round is not quite enough to give me full confidence, but it is enough to suggest that ISU may be able to bring this back. The deficit now reduced to only 3 rounds. Texas Tech still don't have their eyes on match point. So ISU, moving on to this top floor attack, are going to be looking to continue that basement success once again, focusing on punishing every swing, punishing every little misstep or over-aggression that Texas Tech choose to bring out.
No smoke in play. Instead, it's going to be a Warden, the most dapper individual in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, he is a strong operator. He brings a deployable shield and a nitro cell. It's going to be Bait actually utilizing that deployable shield. And it seems like it's going to be more or less the same strategy. Instead of denying with those 3 toxic babes, which wastes up to 30 seconds, Bait's going to go for the more aggro plays. When he gets flashed into oblivion, he's going to stand his ground and actively challenge. But what might be more concerning is the lack of ADSs. They're hiding behind the wall. I believe there's 2 of them there. So he's going to be able to hold his ground for a small amount of time. But since Jaeger has been recently nerfed, those ADSs only grab 1 projectile every 5 seconds compared to grabbing those 2 projectiles, which means wasting utility is going to be incredibly important, and another opening kill for the attacking team.
Yeah, it could be that we're seeing an attacker-sided Oregon unfold on our hands. But for now, with only one player eliminated, it's going to be up to this attack, and as it's going to keep unfolding here. Bait once again stuck in J Bunker and getting shut down for it. Patience making it happen on the swing once again. Gassy Gama hoping to take up the position that Fatal Fister elected to hold last time, but Patience removing Espen. The on-site pressure for Texas Tech is collapsing on all sides. Cryptic will recover that pressure by finding one. Patience now removed, and Gassy Gama will also be looking to retaliate, but the punch hole was heard, his position is known, and now 50 HP is all that remains for the Jaeger. The shots found onto Harabik, who's going to be caught out of position there, and now things are looking more achievable. 2v3 now, Gassy Gama taking more damage, being poured on out by Fortra here, but no player finding the grave just yet. We're finding ourselves in that 1 minute 30 mark, and we're finding Gassy Gama in a tough position and finally getting cut on down. Cryptic's on the swing, and a double kill delivered, but he's got to find two more, and Fortra will say, not a chance. Illinois State make it happen once again.
That was an incredibly close round. It seems like Texas Tech, they find themselves in a terrible position in a 1vx or a 2vx, and they're able to claw it back almost to victory. And Illinois State finds themselves in the mentality of like, we have the man advantage. Let's just push the bomb site and get kills. Thus, they push as individuals and they get obliterated as individuals. They need to start to slow things down. When they have that the 2-man advantage, they just send their drones down range, identify where those defenders are, and then go for execute. Push as a roster. And imagine if Illinois State did a 360 crossfire and just walked in closer and closer to those defenders. It really doesn't matter how good Texas Tech is mechanically. They're just not going to win those exchanges because they're going to be shot from every possible angle. But when you're presenting yourselves as individuals and as ones, Illinois State tends to lose them the majority of the time.
Well, Chief, as we get into round number 9, I think this is the perfect opportunity to just remind everyone at home that Snail, the man we've been really dragging through the mud here so far tonight, he is a dear friend, he is a fellow caster, and that is why we are choosing to drag him. But in fact, he is not only getting dragged by us, the casters, but he is getting happily dragged along by his teammates. 0 and 6 is all that Snail has put up on the board, the assist master getting 4, but unable to find just one fatal blow in this series so far. You have to wonder if Snail can put up just a couple of numbers on the board here. Maybe Illinois State can complete the comeback. They maybe could find these next 2 rounds in a row, but it seems that Illinois State can shut down Texas Tech on defense even without that support player being a factor. But as we move on now, Texas Tech making it known that they no longer want to defend that basement site, heading upstairs to kids and dorms.
It seems like everybody's petrified by the tertiary and quaternary bomb sites so far in this series. The attackers have some control of the map, and they're going to utilize vertical destruction to actually help facilitate opening up this northmost attic wall. When shots are going to be exchanged, it seems like Texas Tech wants to defend this, trying to have some damage being dealt and hooked up, and trying to sacrifice his utility early on. Now, I love the operator lineup from Texas Tech. They're not only bringing out that Jaeger, but they're bringing out those Wamai pancakes. The projectiles that Illinois State has been utilizing, particularly when they're downstairs executing on that J bunker, will find themselves in a huge roadblock, as all the soft destruction, those ADSs, as well as those Wamai pancakes will grab them midair.
Well, it's going to be Fatal Fister once again, really trying to hold down this attic position, now retreating into pit, but a nade is going to rain on through. It might catch him there, only a little bit of HP dealt, more in fact dealt to Patience by the shots that Fatal Fister was able to land just a moment prior. And of course, Fatal Fister is a doc, stimming himself back up to full HP, ready to get into more of these engagements. And there is one from Cryptics, finding Harabik. A big pick there onto the Nomad, who is rotating around from that tower side. And you talk about that tower pressure, and now it will be building as Patience finally removes Fatal Fister from play, prevailing over that pit player. And now with the closet being opened wide and a 4v4 situation on our hands, Illinois State looking to use that pick onto Espen as well to now cascade that pressure onto the bomb site.
That was the first time we've seen anybody from Texas Tech make an error on mechanical skill. He went for the slow peek instead of the quick peek. If he quick peeked, he would have saw the angle being held, and he would have had more options. He could have actually prone and changed up his area, but it really doesn't matter since he has been felled, and another member from Texas Tech is now dead. Gassy Gamma unable to participate, and it's back on 2 members of Texas Tech against the 4 remaining members of Redbird. Time is not on the side of Illinois State. They're going to have to start to push closer to the bomb site, playing together. Coup mines are going off. This will alert that the bomb's attempted to go down. The White Stairs pressure is going to be a little bit too powerful for Bait, as he's going to take a lot of damage. His teammate will now fall, stuck in a 1v3. He loses his life, and Illinois State fighting round by round, back to back. And here we go. We're back in this series, all on attackers' backs.
All right, the attacker-sided Oregon is becoming more of a reality every second. Illinois State have put on the gas, have turned on the jets, and are going forth looking to find their 4th round in a row. That is 3 back-to-back attacking rounds following 5 attacking rounds from Texas Tech. Things are looking good for ISU here. They show no signs of slowing down. These attacking wins have not only been simply wins, they have been decisive. They have been swift, and Texas Tech really don't look like they've had much of a chance once it gets down to the actual execute. Texas Tech are falling victim to their very own strategy of swing everything, use the gun skill to absolutely slam your opponents. But Illinois State came ready for that. They know the strats of Texas Tech in terms of simply their micro positioning strats, and they have shut it down on attack at every turn. In round number 10, Illinois State is now just 1 round away from bridging the gap completely and from evening out the score.
Now, Jay-Z, maybe this is an opportunity where you just YOLO it. You do something that is so out there that it could work or blow up in your face. I'm talking about the extension into T3, where you put a Vigil up there, you put ADSs, well, My Pancakes, you could even put Mozzie Pests up there, and you basically bury that poor individual and say, good luck, have fun, waste time. And we've seen this in professional play. We saw it in the original iteration of this map, and it was extremely powerful. It's very difficult to push that player out. Now, in the new map, it is a little bit easier due to how the wooden floor is, and you can start to send Ash Charges, Sophia Impacts, and Grenades a little bit easier through the T3 floor. But judging how Illinois State tends to be droning, you could probably catch somebody off guard. I mean, look at how Snail set up his drone. He just was repelling, he opened it up, and then sent his drone downrange. If you were a competent, roamer up here on T3, you could have got a free kill on Snail. That would have been the only hard breacher removed, and it would have obviously changed the entire course of the round because North Attic wouldn't be popping open right now.
Yeah, now Patience is once again going to look to continue that success and go back and forth in this one against Fatal Fister that he actually prevailed last time around. The utility dump's going to go on through and now enable Patience to potentially rain a frag grenade down if need be. But the down player, that's actually going to be Gassy Gamma, playing downstairs at the moment and could possibly work a lethal flank in the coming seconds of this round. He's not been droned out. There is a Nomad in play, but the Nomad is on the other side of the map. There is very unlikely going to be a Nomad or an air jab on that main stairs. And Hooked Up is going to be looking to pressure from the other side of site at the same time, hoping to really get this pressure going from everywhere. Fortra seemingly aware of the flank, but it won't matter for now as Harabic will find a way to remove Espen from play. And now with full control of Attic, Patience now raining on up through this position, now looking to establish this very crossfire, but a brilliant shot there. The SMG-11 finding its target from Bait, and that's going to be Hooked Up to fall. Bait looking to go for an aggressive swing, and it's going to pay off huge. Snail remaining 0 and 7 as he gets taken down while on his drone. And here comes the flank from Gassy Game of the Ash, not aware, and the flick is delivered. Fortra cut down. A brilliant shot with the 416. ISU are on the back foot for the first time on attack.
All of a sudden, the aggression is working perfectly for Texas Tech. They're going to still have to remain perfect as there's 30 seconds left on the clock, and it's going to be Harabic charged with taking control of the white stairs. He has yet to be identified, and he's just going to work his way closer to the door frame. But the Legion Goo Mine will catch him off guard, and Patience is still holding a very deep angle. They're going to need to start to push together, but the call is yet to be made, and the flank is still coming from Gassy Gamma. But Patience is able to win one. That was the opening kill to move his way deeper to the bomb site, but all of a sudden, Texas Tech find 2 quick kills to the scoreboard, and they now find themselves sitting on match point.
Texas Tech finally solving their defensive mishaps, and they made it happen in round number 10. They will now move ahead, eyes on match point, looking to close things out here. But if there's anything that I could expect to see, it would be ISU actually bringing this back. They've looked strong. They've found a way to bring every single round on attack, except for, of course, the one prior, into their arms, actually. And it's something that is not only surprising us here in the booth, but I think is surprising many who expected this match to be so one-sided. A victory here for ISU would be a tremendous upset, but so far they still need 2 rounds under their belt to actually get the first step on the way to that very upset. Texas Tech, with now eyes on that match point, will be heading down to the basement, hoping to find some success there as well.
And I just want to quickly say, like, I'm perplexed by why we haven't seen a bomb site that isn't other than dorms and basement. You'd think that since these teams are struggling so much on defense, they would bring something out that is different, something the attackers haven't seen. And the thing with tertiary bomb sites are, a lot of attacking rosters aren't always that comfortable executing them. Now, statistically, they tend to be the rounds that the attackers win the most, but if you change something up, do something different, it can be a great way of, well, finding yourself in a round victory. I always prefer meeting room over dining room, but maybe you want to bring out dining room to change up your aggression level, play a lot more passive, and play a strategy where you're just trying to burn thermite charges. If you're bringing out impact grenades and you're actively impact tricking, that's a perfect way of shutting down Illinois State, because at the end of the day, Snail is probably the most important operator in the pitch.
Well, with this basement defense, the site that has had no success for Texas Tech on at least their defensive half, you've got to wonder exactly what they're going to pull out here. At least it seems that the J bunker being reinforced on off, that's going to be change number 1. You're not going to have a player on that extension, that player being bait for multiple rounds, and that player being felled the very first pick of every single defensive round on this site so far. So with that change, Texas Tech are going to be looking to stay alive for a bit longer in this round, and they'll be looking to end things on here. But of course, without the J-Bunker pressure, here comes the pressure from the attackers themselves. They now have blue control, and now they are looking to push up into pillar and take control from there. Fatal Fist are no longer to hold that active angle, instead going to recontest that, running right on through immediately into the sight line of the Ash, but it is in fact Cryptix who finds the headshot onto Hooked Up, taking out the Zofia and starting things off pretty well here for Texas Tech.
There is a flank coming from behind for Harabic as Cryptic works his way in through meeting room. They're going back and forth. They have no idea that they're so close to one another, but they're just going to continue this dance, and actually Cryptic is going to call for an additional amount of help. Gassy Gamma is now upstairs, and Harabic is going to continuously try to actively deal with this roam player, but he has no drones helping facilitate that, so he's just walking around the map, crouch walk, really achieving nothing, as his fellow teammates are actively trying to push the bomb site. And since the Redbirds are have a huge man disadvantage, still a -1 with sub 60 seconds, they're going to need to start to regroup and actually play as a coherent roster.
A bomb has been located.
Well, they're starting to make things happen here. You see them grouping up, and some semblance of a push is coming out from this north side, but a brilliant C4 rained on through by Fatal Fister is going to make that even harder. Snail finding the scoreboard here in what could be the final round if ISU cannot bring this one back, but with that one kill, the man advantage is lessened in Illinois State. They have a chance here, but Cryptics shutting that down right away. Snail looking to find the retaliating blow, but cannot. Absolutely good nighted by Gassy Gama, and Gassy with the double kill will seal things here on Oregon for Texas Tech. Their own map pick finding its way into their arms.
I'm still extremely concerned about Texas Tech. This is one of their best maps, a map that they looked unstoppable on. And the Redbirds played this pretty well. And it was just stemming from the fact that the defense was almost lost by both of these teams. They had no idea if they wanted to play aggressive. They had no idea if they wanted to play passive. And instead, they decided to sit somewhere in the middle where they achieved really none of those options. So when we go over to our next map pick, which will be Clubhouse, a map that plays very similar to Oregon, they're going to have to utilize this, 5 to 10 minute break to talk amongst themselves and really learn from their mistakes actively.
Well, I really do like overall the general theme that both of these teams have been bringing out. I think it's a good matchup we've got on our hands. Both of these teams are showing their ability to adapt on the fly. We haven't seen the same static thing from these teams round after round, like we often get bogged down in many matches here or there. But in this one, these teams have shown their ability to pivot not only between rounds or between halves, but actually within the round. Both of these rosters have done a brilliant job adapting their pressure, figuring out where they want to attack from, where the attacking pressure from is, how to pivot on defense. Overall, I think we've seen some great things, and we're going to have to continue to see those things if we want a great matchup here as we get into Clubhouse, which will be our second map. But we are going to wait just a few minutes and take a quick breather, so grab a snack, enjoy your Friday night for just a few moments, because we have got another map and another heater coming to you in just a few moments. Please stick with us.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you,
Rising with each beat of the music is bringing real flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart so full. I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're existing.
Ladies and gentlemen, CR6 is back in this Final Four. It's currently Texas Tech versus the Redbirds. In map number 1, it was Oregon, Texas's map pick, and they ended up taking the victory there 7-4. I am joined by my longtime friend and the man with the cleanest room of all of Rainbow Six Siege, Mr. Jay-Z, and of course, our lovely producer is Tango Mango Down.
Chief, it's a pleasure to be with you here for map 2. Map 1 was a heater. It was a good one to watch, but eventually Texas Tech did pull it out. They're going to be looking to do so again and keep this clean, keep it short, a clean 2-0 against ISU to move on to those finals. We can give you an idea of where we sit overall on the other side of this Final Four. Akron is taking on UGA to determine who will get that championship ticket, who will eventually fight the winner of this map we have in front of us here. ISU, they proved that they can hang with Texas Tech in map 1, even on Texas Tech's own map pick. So going on to Clubhouse, going to a ground that these Redbirds are certainly more familiar with, you'd have to expect that they're going to come out strong here and that they're going to be looking to build that momentum, hoping to go into that decider map.
I love how Clubhouse has started to evolve, at least at the professional level, where we're seeing Habana be the primary hard breacher ban, and depending on whoever is on attack first, will dictate which operator gets banned, whether or not it's the Thatcher or a Maverick. And both of them are equally as viable. Some teams want to have Thatcher available because they want to, well, destroy not only utility actively on the wall, but they also want to destroy the ADSs and any other utility that might be deeper into the site. Or you could be bringing out the Maverick to actively trick open a wall. It is a high risk, high reward strategy, but he is a good substitute for that. Thatcher, Maverick will be available, which usually means the attacking lineup is going to be an Ace, Thermite, and Maverick acting as a Thatcher.
Yeah, without that Habana, you need so much more hard breach utility, especially when attacking that basement site, even more so if you want to open that church wall. You'll opt for the Maverick to open up those hatches and the Thermite possibly to open up dirt, and then your Ace can use those long-range Selma charges to get that church wall open if that is your particular approach. But without the Mira and without the Malusi in play, very typical Clubhouse bans to round out the operator bans for this one. We are going to see quite a typical Clubhouse shakeout here, but of course, you mentioned it, Chief, the lack of a Habana does shake things up on attack and makes it even harder to get the attacking success going. We talk a lot about the attacking side and the defensive side and really which one is more favored in a particular circumstance, but it seems that this new meta we are slowly easing our way into is going to be a little bit more attacker favored. I'm not saying it's going to be fully attacker sided over the defensive side, but definitely I think the attacking teams are getting a lot more resources at their disposal, and the defensive side is losing just a little bit of that with the nerfs to Jaeger and the change to Amai and that kind of stuff, the lack of some deployable shields here and there. It's all shaking things up, and in my opinion, for the better.
And I'm always a fan of Ace, particularly on this map, because he also brings a set of smoke grenades. I'm constantly talking about the French style of execute, where you take vertical control of the B bomb site, you then go for a smoke and quick execute. This helps aggressive teams simply because they don't have to deal with these big grandiose roams, where if you're a team like Dark Zero, you're never going to really go for an aggressive attack like that because you're so structured, you're going to clear out the entire map. And that works wonderfully for Dark Zero. But again, we're not Dark Zero in this scenario. We're Texas Tech and Illinois State. So we're going to have to see how Illinois State is going to break down the setup of Texas Tech, because they have one traditional hard breacher in that Maverick who can open up to top patches, but it's still a high risk scenario, and it does cost him a lot of torch utility.
And seeing the utility on the defensive side being deployed in dirt as well. Usually, we see bait on that role, and that is exactly where the smoke will be holding again. This is going to be a big focal point for this attack as well. You have to burn the utility that bait is going to have in his favor, and you're going to have to push out the dirt player. We see an ADS position there. You see how Patience is now droning it out, trying to get that intel, and with a C4 now being burned, essentially wasted, that's going to be one off the board. But Fatal Fister actually using the vertical play established by the C4 to finally take down the sledge. So things are looking up here for Texas Tech, at least in terms of that defensive success on the front foot here on round number 1.
There's actually strong drone coverage right now for the Redbirds. They've identified more or less where everybody from Texas Tech is, but that's where their strengths start to fall. They're not pushing together as a unit. They're not capitalizing on the information those drones were providing. And to make things worse, Fatal Fister is able to find a kill. But Cassie's going to get too aggressive. He's eventually going to be felled by that pistol. And that's the thing. When you're held up over by blue, you have the option of wasting all the time in the world. You can continue to snipe away drones, but that wide swing is going to leave that side of the map, the east flank, very open to Redbirds as they can push on through. But they seem to be very tunnel vision over here by dirt. They want to actively deal with bait, utilizing that shotgun as well as those toxic babes. Now 10% or 10 seconds of denial has already been wasted by bait, but nonetheless his active pressure is still doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, the attackers are slowly losing options now. Committing to this dirt push will, I guess, help them find at least one option, but now with Hooked Up taken off the board, that is simply all they are left with. 2 players, 1 option, and a dream. And you still have bait, not only with a deployable shield, but with an M590 ready to greet you around the corner. Patience on the swing. He's going to look for the pre-fire, but not a chance. The M590 will deliver Patience to the grave. This attack from Illinois State really getting going at a snail's pace here in round number 1. And with 1 kill getting itself on the board there, the Thermite doing his job well, it's going to be achievable, but really not all that likely. The flank from Fatal Fister missing quite every single bullet there will allow Snail to find 2 kills and pad his stats here, but it's not going to be enough to win the round. No time left, no utility left, and no hope left for ISU.
There was a double shotgun swing that was going to meet him over here in the Moto hallway. Fortunate for him, he elected to go for the prone angle, and he saved his life as a result. Now Texas Tech is going to find themselves in the exact same fallacy that Illinois State was back in Oregon, where they got very greedy, very kill hungry, and it cost them dearly. Micro positioning from Legion as well as that Valkyrie was just abysmal. Legion was trying to say, you know what, I'm going to put myself in a position that the attackers most likely won't expect. The problem with his position that he elected is probably one of the most common pre-fires that attackers are going to challenge. Not necessarily for where exactly he was, but for the hallway behind them. And the way you tend to swing corners, you tend to pre-fire a little bit more than just the hallway. You want to try to have your bullets almost arc, which doesn't make sense from a physics standpoint, but the idea is to have as many bullets down range so you expose a less amount of your body, because remember, we're not on land, we're actually in a server that has some bad latency. So we're gonna have to see Texas Tech at least control their aggression a little bit, but they are going to a different bomb site altogether, and this is going to be one of those bomb sites we're gonna have to see in Texas Tech expand a little bit outward for.
Well, we're heading upstairs to the CCTV and cache bomb site now, and we're going to have to see exactly how ISU wants to approach this take. Of course, without the Habana and electing not to bring the ace, you've got very few options here. You've got, of course, the Surrey torch that Maverick brings, and you can open up that platform wall using the iconic Maverick trick. And of course, Snail is also in play, and you've got those exothermic charges that you can use to open up the wall as well. Maybe Patience will simply just rain a nade on through to potentially deny those mute jammers from being a factor at all. That's exactly what Patience is going to do, opening up the Maverick hole, removing the mute jammer, and allowing Snail to get the wall on open. Fatal Fister tossing out a C4, but it will not connect. In fact, and it will actually be a camera? A camera that Fatal Fister tossed out. So not a C4, instead, a little piece of utility hoping to gain some intel before this attack swiftly deals with it and swiftly moves on to the site itself.
Well, that was something different you don't see every day. Most people are electing to throw cameras out towards the east, either over from stock or by the southwest, southeast side of the map where those trash cans are, because the camera gets buried in it. But nonetheless, it was something different and it didn't work out well for Texas Tech, but at least they're trying to experiment with different things. The opening kill will not be in favor of Texas Tech, as it's, well, the lovely man with the cameras fatal falling, but answered quickly back by an SMG-11. Push up red stairs will be ill-advised as Espin's able to find two. A quick reload was just good enough for him, and the full utter sin by the Redbirds. Whoever made that call, whoever made that identification, did not do their due diligence.
I have absolutely no idea how that man made its way up onto the red stairs, because Gassy Gamer was playing in secret right below. There was two defenders surrounding that push, and now ISU, hoping to respond to losing two teammates early, are pushing it on into the site, hoping to bounce this back. But Snail is a bit nervous here, in a precarious position to be holding nonetheless, especially because Espin is around the corner, but narrowly missing the headshot. Patience finds it. Gassy Gamer playing in lounge, his position was unknown, and now one kill has been delivered. Now with a 2v3 situation, Fortra and Snail have control of the site, but without the case in their hands, they're actually not opting to get this diffuser down. Fortra seems to think that they have a diffuser, but without that, it's gonna have to be a frag fest. Bait finds one and Bait finds two, after Fortra could find only but one kill, and Texas Tech make it happen once again.
What a unique round all around. That Valkyrie camera was perplexing, but was more discombobulating was the fact that full send from, that was a Zofia up the red stairs. That, Jay-Z, was a ballsy play, to say the least.
How did you get there? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, you're right, because there's somebody sitting over by blue. That is one where you just scratch your head and you're like, what happened? How did we get here? I mean, I guess, you know, the meme that they keep referencing, let me in, as he gets shocked by the shock wire, is a great way of putting it. Because it seems like Illinois State wanted to be let in the map. They decided, you know, we're not going to even bother knocking. We're just going to run. And they found themselves in the same fallacy that every single T3 team does. The W shift killing them. But this is actually a bomb site that you could make an argument that a rush style strategy could work. You could open up the spa breach towards the west and full send. You could open up the logistic hatch and full send. While there are high risk strategies, if you can catch Texas Tech still doing their setup, it can work out well.
Well, that's something that's so hard for even experienced IGLs to decide on. When do you look at a defensive setup, or lack thereof, and make the determination, this is the time for a rush? There's got to be so many factors that go into that decision, but at the same time, you can't assess the setup too long. You have to make a split-second decision, otherwise you're going to lose the oh-so-important element of a rush, and that is the element of surprise. The immediate push into sight will force Texas Tech to be rushed back, be flustered, and not know where the push is coming from. Maybe that's what ISU needs here on Clubhouse, because at least 2 rounds in, their success has been few and far between. Obviously, they're going to have to deal with this cash pressure at some point if they want to push from that construction side. But for now, Snail opening up that jacuzzi wall and doing so quite efficiently. The pressure from this west side is already mounting.
So I actually want to answer your question quickly. Usually when rushes are called, it's actually one of the entries that makes that identification, because they're the ones that are setting up their drones, usually in the map in a flank watch position, because the primary and secondary entry usually aren't droning actively. So the people who are the flex players and the 2 support players, and their drones are staged in positions to drone the entries in, which usually means map control. And those, well, entries drones are closer to the bomb site, which they see something that's a lack of utility or a slow setup, and they say, hey, there's something weird going on right here. They provide that information, and then the IGL says, let's push it. Kind of something very similar to that. A drone locates, the entry goes, and then it's a full send. And actually, the tertiary bomb site's going to look a lot worse for Texas Tech as another member falls. It's now Fatal's turn to drop.
Pass now into that 3v5 situation. Bait looking for the desperate pre-fire, but an ill-advised swing lands Bait in the grave. Espin and Gassy Gamer now left alone in a brutal 2v5 situation. You've got a shotgun here, so not a bad place to be. Finding one, almost the second, but not quite. Snail finds the shots just before. And now Gassy Gamer, of course, positioned off-site, needs to rotate all the way back, reposition, and look for that impossible clutch. And now with 1 HP, the shots exchanged. This one's looking not super easy. Patience is ready, Snail is ready, and the player contesting on the other side of the wall is ready as well. Fortra finds the kill. Illinois State find their first round.
Gym Bedroom tends to go in favor of the attackers, and it seems like that theme will play out perfectly here. And Texas Tech was very light on their wall denial over by Spa. They elected to just put a mute jammer because they knew the wall was going to be opened up. And if you think about it, it does make sense. Unless Kaid was banned. But Kaid is not banned. So you have the option of actively tricking this wall. You can bring out the mute jammers on the wall, prompt Maverick to cut a small hole in the wall and send his grenade downrange. As soon as that happens, you can have a Kaid pre-charged, and as soon as that grenade goes off, you yeet that Kaid Claw downrange, and hopefully you have just enough time to have it land and destroy the thermite charge. It is a high risk strategy, and it comes down to the opportunity cost of utility. But nonetheless, I would like to see Texas Tech at least try to deny the wall a little bit more. They need to waste time because their whole strategy of expanding into their other side of the map towards the east, which is the cash box, works great if you're wasting hard breach utility. But if you don't waste any time on the other side of the map, it just doesn't matter. The attackers are just going to bulldoze you.
I really have to echo those thoughts. I mean, on this site as well, with those hatches in play, instead of bringing the Legion, some call it a poor man's Malusi, instead of bringing that, you could just bring a Kaid instead. Because last time, we saw Patience, the Maverick, the man his sole designation would be to get hatches open if they are electrified. Instead, Patience just stared straight at the dirt wall the entire time and opted for a dirt push only. If Texas Tech can read into that slightly, I'm not sure if they knew exactly what was on the Maverick's mind, but you throw one Electro Claw up towards that kitchen hatch, up towards the Moto hatch, and if Patience uses that Surrey Torch on this dirt wall like he is doing once again, you've got hatches that are going to remain reinforced for a good bit of time, if not the entire round. So a little bit of an oversight potentially there from Texas Tech, but also it's a reasonable decision. You know a Maverick is on the board, but Kaid, maybe it's not the best pick in that situation. So with this dirt focus being such a clear point of attack for ISU here, it seems that we are going to see this round unfold in a very similar fashion as to round number 1.
Utility being burnt towards the dirt tunnel. It's going to force Bait back a little bit. But those flashbangs never truly found their target, but they were designed for burning ADSs. The shield is gone. A nade's going to do a little bit of damage. Bait's going to answer that back with a quick Toxic Beam. Patient's going to be forced to retreat. 10 seconds of denial has been wasted, but here comes the strategy from the Redbirds. They want to take control of dirt as quickly as possible. Bait is utilizing all of his utility, which means he'll have no smoke grenades when the inevitable plant comes through from Illinois State. And there's still plenty of time left on this clock. We haven't even hit 100 seconds left. The attackers are still going to have to clear, but they haven't really dealt with any of the top hatches. The only thing they've dealt with was Bait.
Well, that's a good checkpoint now accomplished for this attack, and now with that, the pressure is only going to continue to mount. Fatal Fister finding the grave rather than the frags this time around on this basement defense, and now with this bottom of main stairs pressure building from Fortra as well, Illinois State are building heavily on this site. Espen unable to take down Patience. Patience making it happen in that gunfight. Gassy Gamer, of course, finding the response swiftly back, but is it too little too late? It's a 2v4 now. Gassy Gamer looking for the shots and finding them. That's going to be a double kill for the Jaeger, but now Cryptix knows the player lurking around the corner. The swing and the shots are found. Harabic takes down the Jaeger, so now it's a 1v2 for the Legion. The body is identified, but the shots could not quite land. Illinois State making it happen for back-to-back rounds and evening out the scoreline.
That was a phenomenal angle being held by Harabic. And that was also a position you kind of have to scratch your head in if you're Legion. What is the best place to be? Do you sit in that rotation where the attackers are going to have the height advantage on you, which means they're going to have the advantage in the gunfight, or do you elect to rotate over towards the boxes where the attackers will have a height advantage on you, but at least you have cover? Now you do have a tertiary option, and that is going to be retaking that second floor and trying to actively challenge the attackers. But every one of those scenarios is very high risk. The better of those options was actually to keep, well, Jaeger alive, where he wasn't so aggressive. As soon as he got that kill on Dirt Tunnel, we needed everybody on Texas Tech to take a deep breath and say, we've done our job. We're back at equal man count. We've killed the Thermite, and we're just going to wait for that drop to happen. And as soon as that drop happens, well, that means the attackers are going to start to put the bomb down, and we will have that numbers advantage. Because when you're planting the bomb, you do not have your gun up. You can swing it out 2v1, clear the cover, and then clear the final planter. But that communication never happened on Texas Tech. That's a high level of thinking, and sometimes in T3 and even in Collegiate, teams struggle to synergize and communicate at that type of level.
Yeah, it's a debate we see from many teams. You know, some teams really don't opt to run a lot of complex strategies. ISU is one of those teams, and they seem to be proud of it week after week. They talk about it in their interviews, how it's not a strat-focused game they bring to the table. It's more of I like the way you put it, Chief, a synergy-focused game where you work on just working with your team, getting the comms nice and spicy, just building off each other and having a good time while taking some dubs while you do it. I mean, it's a great way to approach the game if it works, and if you enjoy that approach, then more power to you. Teams, of course, are going to try to throw the strat book at you, but sometimes a good bit of vibes just thrown down towards your opponents can sometimes just be too much to overcome.
And you know, sometimes strats aren't always the right option, especially if you don't understand what a strategy is for. We talk about this frequently, teams bringing out the SSG style strategy when they don't really understand what it was for. It was designed to shut down hyper aggressive rosters, particularly the Latin American rosters. Now, you can utilize it against some North American teams, you can utilize it against some ANZ teams, you can utilize it against European teams, but you have to make sure it's tailored to the right type of roster. And if you're using a strategy that is designed for a team that's not super aggressive, well, you might find yourself in a very bad position, just like the flank watch falling for the Redbirds.
Texas Tech now trying to recover some of that momentum. They'll do so by finding that opening pick onto the Nomad and now enabling themselves to possibly get even more aggressive as the rest of this round unfolds. Hooked up, looking to force out this player as the pinch does come on through. Of course, that pick was delivered as Gassy Gama was almost a guaranteed death at that point, but with Patience being found just a moment before, and with Snail bringing things on back, things will keep nice and even. 3v3, the equal man count now delivered. But with Fortra pressuring outside this CC window and with Snail establishing this breach opened right on up, it's going to be hard for Texas Tech to actually maintain control of this CC site. Of course, the soft wall between them will allow Bait to left click and hold the Alda down through and pour the bullets into the site. But the site control could easily be taken, and with the default plant spot being fully protected from almost all sides, that's exactly what Snail's going to get on going.
Wait, where's Espen? He hasn't rotated below. This is a huge mistake. The Nitro Cell might be a little bit delayed. It's gonna go up. It's gonna find its target, but he should have been downstairs a lot sooner. It's now a post plan, but the defenders have the man advantage until Hooked Up was able to find that kill. It's gonna be a full rotation from everybody in Texas Tech, and now it's Espen. Stuck in a 1v2. He's able to spot one. Zofia is now down, but not out. She's gonna be able to self-res, and the SMG-11 will finish her off. 2 full HP operators left. Fortra knows the push is coming from the south side of the map. He's going to elect to go for the rotate and dealing with those Meister Evil Eyes. No more free information. And Espen's going to either go for the aggressive swing, but he's going to go for the defuse. Ash might not know this. Fortra's going to go for the sprint. There's so little time. He almost misses, but by the skin of his teeth, with 1 second left on that defuse, the Redbirds win 3 rounds in a row.
Well, you called it out in the round, Chief. That timing, the mute from below, had he been 1 second sooner on the C4 toss, that round would have gone a completely different direction. Texas Tech would have had the man count, they would have had the time on their side, it would have been very tough for ISU to bring it back. But even though the C4 found the kill, it did not matter. It became a retake situation. All that ISU needed to do was wait for the push from Texas Tech. It came in, and it came in swiftly, but it was shut down just as swiftly by the Redbirds, holding down the site quite strongly, going ahead on Clubhouse, on attack. That 3-2 lead now established. ISU in position to really go ahead here. This round is the most pivotal round we've seen happen so far. It's round number 6, of course, and it's only the halfway point. But if ISU can get a 4-2 advantage on attack, on Clubhouse, that would be going into their defensive half on their own map pick, but equalizing now, keeping it even at 3-3. Both of these teams would be scrapping it out in that second split.
The problem with defense is most people think, we don't need an IGL. And 90% of the time, you're correct. However, you still need to be communicating amongst yourselves and communicating your position. Be like, Espen, I'm holding red stairs right now, and you had 2 members over by Cashbox. So basically, you had your entire team in a square footage of no more than 10. That is a bad position to be. One of the players need to say, hey, we're all kind of, in one box. We need to rotate. And Espen, since you have the Nitro Cell, you're the one tasked with making that rotation. He should have stacked up over by the secret stairs, and it would have been completely different. But it wasn't the case. The identification was not made, and the attackers are going to have to at least find something. And there we go. Fortune will find the opener.
Fortra making things happen on early will put ISU once again in that advantageous position. You've got Fortra now looking for more here, but the utility in blue will slow that pressure down. Now, with these 4 defenders remaining, Texas Tech are going to be forced to play this a little bit more passively, a little bit more patient on the site. It is in fact patience on ISU, who's looking to mount this pressure from all angles as well. But as they remain focused on Fortra and as what the Ash is going to be able to do, we see the calls going out. We can see the mind of this attack at work. They're slowly identifying where this utility from the defense is being applied and how they can slowly and methodically counter that and get that site control with hooked up, pressuring up blue, getting the line of sight onto the site through that soft destruction. It's going to start establishing this necessary crossfire that these attackers need. Espen's going to get cut down very low. Gassy's going to find the grave as hooked up makes it happen from the long angle. Now Zophia's looking to find another, but not quite making it happen. Espen now being pressured from all sides and being cut on down. Hooked up, making it happen again. Illinois State rolling Texas Tech in this round, but Bates going to have something to say about that, but not before Patience can shut it down. Now a 1v4.
Fatal Fister in a very awkward predicament. He's stuck over here in the bomb site with nowhere to go. He is isolated. The bomb's going to start to be planted very quickly. He's going to have to go for his frags. Able to find one. That's one step closer, but he'll be felled more or less the second after he gets that kill. Illinois State able to take a 4-2 split. As you mentioned, 4-2 splits are extremely common, but never for the attackers. The attackers are usually the ones at the end of the 2 split, but today it's the Redbirds at the top of the 4 split, and it just seems like Texas Tech is struggling to communicate on defense.
Honestly, the Texas Tech we've seen in these last 2 weeks, it just feels that it's just not quite up to the absolute strength that I've seen from them in the past. I am very surprised they're actually down in this one right now. Usually, this is a team that just steamrolls its opponents straight into the ground. And honestly, we're not seeing the same Texas Tech that we're used to seeing, but we're also witnessing ISU just playing quite well right now. They are playing as coordinated as ever. They are working together. The information is clearly flowing well between the teammates. It's all clicking for them right now. And unless that clicking suddenly shuts off, unless the comms suddenly die, which I doubt, they are in position to really run away with Clubhouse right now. If they continue to pour on this momentum that they've had since those first 2 rounds, I mean, this could be over for Texas Tech, and the decider map could easily be on the horizon. But of course, Texas Tech, they're going to be looking to answer and try to crawl this back in the momentum-focused game that we clearly have in front of us. It was 2 rounds for Texas Tech back-to-back, followed by 4 unanswered rounds from the Redbirds.
I already like the defense that the Redbirds are running. They have the Kaid we were asking for so long. And Patient's going to go for a run out. Oh, it's a camera placement. It's a little bit too low. You need to either throw it on the light or you throw it on the tree back there. And it won't work out at all for him as he loses his life. It was a ballsy play, to say the least. And, well, he will have to be relegated to camera watch duty, which there's some type of sweet irony there. The man that throws out cameras is now dead and forced to only watch cameras for the remaining 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and Snail says put it in a montage. A great way to meme on your fallen comrade.
A bomb has been located.
Yeah, now Illinois State feeling the unusual sting of the man disadvantage early in round number 7 with only 45 seconds burned. The pressure from Texas Tech is already heavily mounting, but is going to be shut down back-to-back by Hooked Up, lining them up and finding a double kill there. Brilliant awareness from the Legion to make things happen. Another player is going to walk straight on into Hooked Up sights. That's going to be Fatal Fister no more for this Earth in round number 7. Bait and Gassy game all alone. Now a 2v4 is what they are staring down.
Seems like Texas Tech is just struggling all around here on Clubhouse. There's no communication, but at least they have mechanical skill. That's a quad in the round for Hooked Up. He's going to try to complete the ace. He just needs to find one more, and that's going to be Bait, the IGL of Texas Tech. Now he has all 3 of his Selma charges and 2 smoke grenades, so he has a lot of utility to be successful. But he's going to have to play this as passively as possible, utilize that last drone he has to confirm the location of the Redbirds and go for the push. He's also going to have to rely on his teammates' due diligence, and if they've set up their flank drones throughout the map, back when he requested that all that time ago. Now the clock's still working its way down. We're about 60 seconds left in this round. Opening up the door will confirm to everybody in the lobby that Bait is over by Central Stairs.
Well, with that call, now Hooked Up is going to come shift Wing on in, now really searching for that ace, but Bait seems ready for it, but it doesn't matter. Hooked Up makes it happen, delivers the ace, and delivers ISU to a 5th round unanswered.
Yeah, that was quite a yikes, wasn't it, Jay-Z?
Yeah, that was a yikes.
The thing was, Texas Tech was like, oh, we lost 2 of our men. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to push the last known location of the assailant and just try to lock him down. But they locked him down with their faces, and the only thing they met were bullets. You need to take things methodically. You need to drone. Even if you're at man disadvantage, you have to say, we still have enough utility, enough drone utility in our back pocket. Let's confirm the location of the Legion. And once we do, we can set up a counter strategy on the fly. We can challenge again from lobby, but we can also challenge from the blue window. He's now going to be in a 90 or 80 degree crossfire, and he's either going to have to rotate down the blue stairs or actively contest us. Sadly, Texas Tech never made that identification, and they ended up getting aced as a result. But it is a new round, it is a new day, and it's a brand new bomb site. It's going to be cash CCTV for the Redbirds, and it's imperative that Texas Tech is able to win this round because they don't want to find themselves in the bad end of match point.
As we head upstairs to this CC and cash site, we're going to have to see Texas Tech really find their element here, find their groove, and go ahead to bring this back. Of course, the complete opposite storyline was in play on Oregon. It was the same scoreline. Texas Tech were looking good. They had a hefty advantage, and ISU managed to crawl it back. But Texas Tech is a team that is not used to being down. This is a team that gets ahead, stays ahead, and wins matches early. But they're going to be trying to make that comeback happen. Cryptics doing it by finding the headshot onto Patience. Once again, the Valkyrie relegated to camera duty almost instantaneously as the round opens on up.
That is a bad position to be in. It seems like Patience wants to utilize the chief way of ranked, where you just fly out every available window with a Valkyrie. Now that's fun when you're playing in Plat or Diamond or Champ lobbies, where everybody has, the same game IQ more or less, and more this. Oh, that's a bad grenade. That's a big yikes. But when everybody has the same game IQ, you can usually get away with those big aggressive plays. But in comp, there is going to be teams droning every square inch of the map out, and you just don't have the luxury of doing the brain dead plays repeatedly. And that's truly what Patience did, a brain dead play. And it's such a high risk strategy. When you're on attack or defense for that matter, you have to be pushing what I call 80-20 gunfights, which means you have an 80% chance of winning. And Patience gunfight at best is a 50-50.
Well, now as the pressure on the site continues to build here, we're going to see how ISU can now respond to a two-man disadvantage with Gassy Gama picking up Harabic. Fortra starting things off strongly, finding one. Snail, what in the world was that? He's going to shift W straight into the construction doorway and get absolutely good-nighted, tucked into bed, and out of this round. Gassy Gama follows that up. Hooked up will be no more. Fortra is all that's left. He's going to have to actually find that ace in the round for ISU to have any hopes here. With the diffuser down, Fatal Fister finishing it off. Texas Tech start to get back on their feet here. Round number 8 will go in their hands.
That was quite a round, Jay-Z. And I was talking about levels of aggression and taking 80-20 gunfights, and Snail was like, nah, dog, I don't need that. And you highlighted it perfectly. He shift W'd into his own grave. He could have buried him. Honestly, he would have been better off throwing a nitrocell at the floor. He would have accomplished exactly the same thing. He would have blown himself up, and at least the attackers wouldn't have padded their stats. It's the only bright thing that happened there. Everybody from the Redbirds, just chill it out a little bit. You don't need to be so aggressive. Now, what happens if Patience did that exact same run out 90 seconds later? If he preset his camera and then ran out from red box, he might have been able to find one on the highway window. It would have been completely different, but just tone that aggression down. Because like we said, Texas Tech is a mechanically gifted team, and if you put yourself in bad positions, they will rip your face off.
That is one way of putting it, but we're going to have to see how things continue to shake up. If anyone's face is going to get ripped off again in round number 9, the comeback that we theorized is now potentially on the horizon. Texas Tech now only 2 rounds away from equalizing that round count. But ISU, now they're actually looking to replicate Oregon just from the other way around. They're going to maybe allow Texas Tech to sneak back in this fight, but then turn on the gas and shut them down 7-4. That would be, well, I guess perfectly storybook heading into potentially that decider map. But we're heading back, at least for the time being, to this Cache and CC site. We're going to see how Illinois State can adapt and shift up their strategy, how they want to approach this site differently. But Chief, you mentioned it perfectly, I think. Just maybe don't shift W into doorways, and that could be enough to solve your problem. Maybe Patience shouldn't come jumping out of a window, and it does seem that in round number 9, the Valkyrie is going to remain a little bit more restrained. Going to be hanging out in logistics, waiting for a potential brutal C4 kill on the Logi hatch.
No way. If this works, that was disgusting.
Oh, no.
He stays in the building. He decides to hang out in the building, and he gets himself a kill. Completely finally demised. Poor Fatal. He gets just eviscerated. Good night to you, sir. And the set of frag grenades has now been surrendered. And you know what? Maybe Patience, he wants to do these unique storybook flashy plays. And if he's able to do it with his nitrocell, power to him, dog. Great for him. Now the attackers at the man disadvantage. They have identified some pressure over by the garage. The Raptors player over by R2 is going to have to be dealt with. But that prone angle looking through the slats can be very difficult. It's going to force Texas Tech to either take all of garage or at minimum the east door of garage.
Yeah, the power position of Rafters can be such a lethal spot to hold for any defensive team. If attacking teams choose to ignore that player, it can very well be the end of any CC push. Patience is going to mark the end of Cryptix's life, at least in round number 9, removing the Ash with a swift blow with the MPX. So things now get increasingly tough for Texas Tech. We nearing that 60-second mark. The information game is lacking for Texas Tech as well. Fortra using those mute jammers quite well there to shut down that information and hooked up, gaining some information. Not only 12 kills to his favor, but those holograms being brought in on that alibi roll. Gassy game of position is now known, so the player outside the plat wall is discovered, but the players elsewhere are not. Bates gonna seize an opportunity and jump on in. He'll find one before Patience can find one himself, though. He'll line up a double kill now as the shots continue to pepper on through, but now the information is fully there. Bait a triple now, finding Patience, and now the diffuser can go on down. Gassy Gamer making the coverage happen, but 2 angles to worry about. That's going to be too much for him to deal with, and Haravic lines him up. Illinois State, they collapse onto the site. They do not let Bait take control of the round. ISU making things happen. All eyes now on match point.
I was thinking to myself the entire time, oh, classic Bait just flying into a window this time instead of out of it. And he's just a strong support IGL. If you need him to collect heads, he will be able to do it. But I do have to also be critical of him. He started to plant the bomb while being pinged by those alibi prismas. If he was actually smarter, he should have held that bomb plant for about 3 seconds. And then once he felt that pressure, and Zofia said, hey, I'm being challenged by both door frames, he needs to get off that and, well, just sit gun up. He doesn't need to necessarily go for the swing, but he still needs to be holding that tight angle because Jaeger is going to pre-fire. Now, Jaeger is going to be looking in 2 different directions. He's going to decide, hey, am I going to go for the primary threat, which is Zofia, or do I go for the planner? Most players are going to be laser focused on the threat, which is the Zofia should their gun is up. But if you're Bait, who got off that plant in the hypothetical situation, he would have shut down the Jaeger. Zofia would have been still able to challenge the cache door, and the remaining member of the Redbirds would have found themselves in a very awkward position. He would have had to swing immediately to try to refrag his fallen Jaeger, or he'd have had a nitrocell denial from underneath. But again, Texas Tech, this is another round where they're failing to make these split-second levels of communication. That type of centerization only comes from a roster that has been together for a very long time. Texas Tech has, which is concerning to me.
Yeah, I mean, some of those last-second moments, I mean, of course, hindsight 2020, we could see after the fact what probably should have happened there, but when the time is ticking against you, when all your mind is set, that tunnel vision on get that bomb down in time. I mean, of course, a situation like that can unfold in just the way that it did. Maybe next time Texas Tech will approach that just a bit differently. But now they're going to have to approach not only a 3-round disadvantage, and now 3 rounds in a row are what required, but now approach this basement bomb site once again and look for success here. Illinois State obviously been successful on every bomb site they've attempted. At least one of their rounds have been successful. Oh my goodness, Snail. A lethal C4 onto the toes of the sledge. That will not be a great way to start. We're going to see the drone work, just admiring that and seeing the fallen teammate and Patience getting over eager is going to get cut down in response. But Haravic taking down Cryptix. Things are collapsing for Texas Tech. Even the simplest things, droning out that top player on the roam, it's just not going well, and Gassy Game is going for the old-fashioned approach. Shift W on the Ash roll, get on into that site as soon as possible.
But there's no cameras. He can just walk in. There's nothing going to stop him. Hooked up is going to rotate. That reinforcement's going to confirm. Fortunately, you have to get off your camera. You have to be gun up. He's going to lose that gunfight. Gassy has just walked on through. It's a slaughter in the bomb site. It's a huge oversight by the defense, and it's going to get even worse. It's now Snail, the caster, stuck in a 1v3. He's been confirmed by the drone, and bullets are whizzing over his head. Fortunately for him, Espin is going to elect to go for a shift sprint, and he is now dead. But Snail has the red pings. He knows that there's somebody over by the boxes, and Bait's going to start the plant. It's going to be a slow push into the hallway, and it's going to be a little bit too slow. The man that saved the round is able to get the final kill, Gassy, on a brilliant play.
Well, sometimes, Chief, I guess it do be like that. Just walk into the site and find some kills. If it works, it works. And I guess why change it? Of course, Illinois State will hopefully not be making the same mistake twice, completely oblivious to the player in moto about 2 inches from the bomb site itself. But a brilliant read of the situation from the Ash and a last-minute desperation move that gave Texas Tech another bit of hope, at least on Clubhouse, now only 2 rounds away from making the full comeback happen, and at the very least, heading to overtime, forcing 14 rounds. But they have to do 2 more rounds in a row. That's going to be tough to do because ISU have looked strong on all these bomb sites, but it will be Church and Arsenal, giving the opportunity to Texas Tech to repeat that same, at least aggressive success, let's call that.
Jay-Z, I can't even begin to fathom how map 3 Coast is going to play out. These teams just want to click heads. Like, strategy is flying out the window. I mean, look at the previous round. We've seen Ash just walk into the bomb site. Imagine you're doing that type of shenanigans on Coastline. It will be quite this series, to say the least. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, as you were saying. There are still rounds to be played here in map number 2. And it's going to be really on how Texas Tech elects to take control of the map and turn that control into kills and then finally into their execute. Because they're really winning these rounds on opening kills. And Patience, sure, is going 1 for 1 with 8 kills, so an even KD. But he is just so aggressive. Just unbridled aggression, costing his life time and time again. He needs to be a little bit more patient. You know, maybe he took a little bit too much Adderall, too much caffeine in the morning, but he needs to rip his inhaler and just breathe a little bit more.
Well, we're going to have to see if they can make it happen here. Of course, Texas Tech struggling to get footing in this round so far, but with only 30 seconds in, anything can happen at this point. Cryptix struggling to really make an appearance on Clubhouse in the same way that he did on Oregon, on that IQ roll, now hoping for some of that same aggression that Gassy Gamo was able to utilize just 1 round ago. Harabic will be on that Jaeger roll no longer. It doesn't appear, at least, on any sort of heavy extension. It's going to be largely an on-site focus for this ISU defense, not wanting to give the opportunity to Texas Tech to simply run on through without being caught out or without the utility in place to stop it. That is, of course, the problem with any sort of heavy roam extension, and the problem with the SSG roam is that you don't have a lot of on-site manpower. As simple as that. You just cannot get your players back to site in time if a rush comes through. But it appears, at least with a 90-second mark now solidifying the intentions of Texas Tech, it's not going to be a rush. A more methodical approach is now underway.
The attackers have so much more utility than the defenders. Still 3 frag grenades at their disposal compared to the 1 remaining nitro cell that's going to be the back pocket of Patience. And here was the flank that you're highlighting. Harabic is going to work his way down to Lounge and get closer to the blue stairs. He will be caught in a flank drone, but he's still able to win the kill. That is the first kill in this round and 1 step in the right direction for the Redbirds. And now Harabic is going to decide, do I come back down the blue stairs to crash onto the bomb site with my team, or will I re-challenge upstairs and try to work my way deeper into the bar? But still highlighting the fact that the attackers have more utility. The smoke grenades are going to be very important, but they haven't done their homework and they haven't completed their checklist. There are still defenders over in Dirt Tunnel. That is going to be Patience. He needs to be dealt with very quickly. He's established as a nitro cell, but that was a pre-warning device, as Fatal will shoot it. He almost is able to win the gunfight. Shots exchange. SMG-11 in hand. Patience is able to win the gunfight. Now Deagle trying to get more kills. If there are any more members of Texas Tech attacking that Dirt Tunnel, but there are none as of now. Sub 20 seconds left on the clock, and the attackers are still trying to open up Dirt Tunnel. It's an incredibly important round. Smoke grenades are going out. Bait's gonna go for the drop. He has shots exchanged. He won't be able to do much damage, and he's about to lose his life with another swing. Everybody all of a sudden starts to fall for Texas Tech and Illinois State's guarantees a map win and guarantees us map 3.
Well, ISU, they're going to do it all in Clubhouse, delivering the same split that Texas Tech made happen just one map ago. We have got our decider map on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. This semifinal match is going to go the distance. You see your scoreboard here, and you see how things were really different on the overall split. Snail really made his presence felt. It all changed for ISU if that support player is going to have his gun up, and Texas Tech are going to unfortunately have their guns down, at least for the time being. Chief, we learned a lot here on Clubhouse. We can kind of get an idea as to how this may shake out, this frag-heavy matchup. What do you think about Coastline?
So, a lot of people think Coastline is all about just swinging corners and winning gunfights. And you are true. There is less macro strategy involved, but you still have to have synergization both on attack and defense. That comes to when you're a roamer off site. If you're a Jaeger being pressured on, maybe we'll just call it the Aqua side if you're downstairs in kitchen, well, you have to call for additional help because if you're just stuck in Aqua, you're going to die. And the same thing for attack. If you identify that Jaeger over at Aqua, you don't do a solo push. You say, hey, Ash, I'm the Zofia in this situation. I need you to push with me so we can go a 2v1 gunfight. Far too often, teams never have that synergization and coordination, and they die as results of it.
All right. Well, I guess you heard it here. We're going to see the synergy. That's going to be a big factor. Chief, you outlined it, and I think it's something we saw on Clubhouse and on Oregon, and the team with the more coordination really was that team who prevailed. A quick break will be on our hands, of course. We got to get ready for this next one. Get prepped, get a drink of water, because we will be here for a decider map. The winner of Coastline will book their ticket to the grand finals in the Premier Invite League. So stick with us, and we will be right back.
at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion. Oh, going into oblivion. Into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, I'm going in. You can't fall asleep when you're counting stars. Get it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it serve. And now you wanna see me fall. From a quarter mile, I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CollegiateR6. Here we are concluding our semi-final matchup in the Premier Invite playoffs between Texas Tech, the 2 seed, and Illinois State, the 6 seed. These teams have been battling back and forth all night long. We saw Oregon. Texas Tech won their own map pick. We saw Clubhouse. Illinois State won their own map pick, and we have arrived to our decider map of Coastline, the frag fest that it is. And we're going to get right on into it, Chief. Are you excited to close this one out?
Oh, I'm so hyped. And you're talking about it being a monkey frag fest. Nomad being the first ban. Oh no, this is going to be quite a series. Now it's going to put a very awkward position for this final attacker ban. Really, anything is available. Blackbeard might sound unique. We've actually seen a lot of Blackbeard bans on Coastline because if the motif is to win gunfights, well, that's all Blackbeard is designed for. A face shield after all that he can just tank bullets. He basically can tank 3 to 6 headshots. And in a game like Rainbow Six Siege, where headshots are imperative, he can be a strong operator. But that also means Thatcher, Ace, and Habana are available. And if you're going to hookah, good luck keeping your quad wall intact.
Well, with the ban phase now wrapping on up, Malusi not going to be a factor either, Chief. We're going to get to see how this one is going to play out. The way these teams kick things off early, I think, is going to be huge. The momentum on Coastline can be everything just because of how frag heavy this map is. We saw Oregon. That's a good flex map, a good pseudo, I guess some would say frag heavy, but also has its good fair share of strats. And then we saw Clubhouse, definitely a strat forward map. And now we are switching things completely around. It's going to be up to this attack to set the pace, but it's also going to be up to this Texas Tech defending team. They're starting things off here on the defensive side, and they can choose to play this however they want. They can play this super loose. They can play all the way extended across this entire site, this entire map, and they can make entering this map an absolute pain. But to the same vein, they can also play this a bit more patiently. I doubt that, but they could bring that out, and that would actually force Illinois State to, instead of really getting frags presented with them on a silver platter, they'll have to hunt for them themselves. They'll have to use their utility, open up those walls, and get that force into the site themselves. We don't know quite yet the kind of coastline that we're going to see, but we know that both of these teams are going to look to light up the scoreboards, set the momentum early on.
Jay-Z, I think the answer to your question is the fact that Alibi has a set of impact grenades instead of a deployable shield, and Fatal Fister is gonna go for a pre-fire. He almost lands one when he gets a little bit caught off guard. He pulled the trigger too soon, and as a result, he wasn't able to line up his shots. Now, we're also going to see an op player that doesn't get enough love, and that is going to be the Jackal. I always say I hate Jackal bans, except on one map, that is Coastline. He is going to be so strong. One quick footstep, he smells, and then immediately he's going to be able to identify where Vigil is. And the likelihood of Vigil being able to rotate up a staircase successfully is going to be very low. Just like his teammate Gassy, unable to rotate away from the office side, now being felled, and it's going to force Fatal off the roam and up the Cool Vibe stairs.
Yeah, slowly, Illinois State doing their due diligence, getting this methodical clear going, and soon Texas Tech are going to have to play this a bit more passively. They're going to slowly be forced back onto the site as the Jackal tracks go out, as the drones pepper on out, and with Snail using those Selma charges to get open that pink wall, or at least attempt to. That is going to be how Illinois State get the site pressure going in combination from below. You've got Hooked Up using those Zofia impacts to expose those lines of sight onto the pink bar, but the shot's narrowly missing the head of the smoke. It's going to be a back and forth battle here because this is a very important position for Bait to maintain if the Aqua push is going to be stalled out by those toxic babes. Hooked Up, his sole purpose is pressure Bait from below, but with Haravic finding that pick, pushing from the Aqua side, the Zofia's job now, just hold it down, prevent those defenders from getting on into the site, because with that angle, now all Illinois State has to do is push on through. Fatal Fister finds one to balance things out just a little bit, but ISU remain on the front foot.
We need the Redbirds to utilize their big window repel a little bit more. There's another kill rolling on through, and that's going to put themselves in a better position. But Redbirds could have had this bomb down a long time ago if they set up their crossfires better. The bomb's going to be completed. Snail will have it down, and Nitrocell that was sent down range has been shot up. It's a terrible position to be for the defenders, as it's now a 1v4, and it's going to be all on the Jaeger, able to actively hunt for the 3 remaining members. He has no HP, and his life will now be forfeit. The attacker is able to win Coastline, which might turn out to be an attacker-sided map.
Well, Coastline is one of those maps that can really just go both ways. It's up to the evening. It's up to the teams and the rhythm that they want to set. And an attacker-sided Coastline or a defender-sided Coastline, I mean, neither are really all that uncommon. This is one of those few maps that really almost always has that 50-50 split in terms of overall statistics when you look at it from a broad standpoint. But in a particular series, this could go 3-3 or it could go 5-1. It's all up to these teams and really what they want to bring out. But in round number 1, it was the story of the swift attack from ISU. They wasted no time with the roam clear, and they methodically worked their way down that oh so important checklist. They cleared out the pink bar player. They established the lines of sight they needed and locked off any rotation onto the bomb site. It was a free Aqua plant and one that enabled them to cleanly take round number 1.
I absolutely love what you said, because this map is technically an even map. It's the only map that actually has a 50% win rate for the defenders, which means the attackers also have a 50% win rate. But what you said was more important. The fact that sometimes you see a 5-1 split for the attackers, and then other days you see a well, 1-5 split for the defenders. And it really depends on how the defense sets up their
10
bomb
seconds
sites
to insertion.
and what bomb sites they go to. Because if you're going downstairs
5
as your
seconds left.
primary bomb site and you're expanding the entire floor, well, this might
Attackers are
force the
moving out to
attackers
locate a bomb
to
and defuse it.
change up how they execute. And the same thing can be said for upstairs. It just really depends on the fluidity in which you're able to roam. And in round number one, we really saw that Texas Tech attempted to set up this big, grandiose roam, and it was shot away almost instantly, not only from the drone work, but more importantly from that Jackal.
Yeah, the Jackal is feeding into the typical attacker strategy on Coastline, which is just get to that certain checkpoint in the round, and all of a sudden, you have map control. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and wait for the defenders to swing you, because at some point, the defenders need to find some semblance of map control for themselves, because this map is so unique in the way that certain angles can be established. The roof is one example of those angles that are just so ridiculous, I guess, for the attacking teams. They can sit on the roof for the remainder of the round and lock off both the rotations on that top floor and prevent any offsite defenders, there are 3 in this case, from actually getting back to the bomb site. But instead of that, it's going to be a direct roam clear, and a swift one at that. Hooked up in Fortune are going to find 2 picks. Gassy Gama, Cryptics, and Bait are no more for this earth, as Harabic gets that team triple kill. Texas Tech hugely on the back foot here. A 5v2 man advantage for the Redbirds.
It doesn't need to be said, this is a very rough position to be in for Texas Tech. Now they're going to crash back onto their bomb site. They're going to try to defend, but it's a 1v5, shotgun in hand. Espen is attempting to do something unique, hiding his position. It's purely in vain. He loses his life almost instantly. And Illinois State able to win another round. This big, grandiose roam play that Texas Tech has attempted to utilize twice in a row is not paying off. They not only need to switch and go to their secondary bomb site of Kitchen, but they also need to change how they're roaming. They need to be playing together as a team with no more than a few seconds separating them.
Well, ISU, they are continuing their Coastline success. It's simply been the underdog story is one way of putting it, and of course that's maybe a little bit undervaluing the work that ISU has put forth in this entire season, but coming against Purdue just last week, taking Purdue to Coastline, a map that Purdue is typically so strong on, and winning there, not only winning, but doing so quite handily, I might add, is an impressive statement, and they are making a statement again here against Texas Tech. A map that typically favors the Gunners, the absolute frag legends that everyone in the community agrees Gassy Gama and Fatal Fister are. That team is being shut down right now. Illinois State, they have Texas Tech's number. They're playing Coastline very well. And really, it doesn't seem that Texas Tech has an answer so far. So much so that Texas Tech are actually going to go back to the same bomb site for a 3rd time in a row. Something that you never like to see, especially with 2 rounds so decisively delivered in the attacking favor. You have to expect Texas Tech to bring up some huge changes here, either in a macro strategy change on that overall picture of the round, or some huge micro positioning changes. But right now, we're seeing more aggression. Rather than backing off, they are only adding on. They're going to put on the gas, hoping that some huge Hail Mary style plays can bring this back for them.
You know, if you want to make Mr. Chief rip his hair out, you go to a bomb site 3 times in a row. I hate going back-to-back bomb sites unless you're truly able to identify what went wrong and how to correct it, which clearly hasn't happened between round 1 and 2. And we're going for, well, the exact same strategy, and it's not working out well. Gassy is now fallen. Now, sure, Gassy has an operator that doesn't bring a lot of utility. He has already pre-established his utility throughout the map. Those Prismas, but still, he's an incredibly important operator, but that's because of his fragging ability. Jaeger has been droned. He has been jackal tracked, able to win 1, but he still has his back against the softball. He's at 180-degree crossfire, even if he doesn't know it. He has to waste time, and Patience has to be very careful where he swings his sledgehammer. Jaeger's now alerted, but a perfect pinch on through. A tandem 1-2 swing, and Jaeger has been eliminated.
perfectly executed by Illinois State. That was coordination at its finest on display. You had the sledge open the soft wall, the swing from the bathroom at the same time. There was nothing, and I mean nothing, that Cryptix could do to survive. And now we've got another player flirting with death here, tempting the player on this roof position, and Snail will deliver Espen to the grave. Texas Tech, for the third time in a row, cannot seem to hold down this hookah and billiard site. With the nades rolling on through, Fatal Fister is forced to back off, with control of billiards now completely surrendered. Bait's gonna hope to stall it out with a Toxic Babe. That's gonna delay just a bit of time, but the smokes from the attack are there to counter it. The diffuser in hand. The next step is get this down, but here comes Fatal Fister. He's gonna find one, but get taken down for his troubles. Illinois State, 3 rounds in a row.
This is just lackluster performance by Texas Tech, and they're the favorites to win this series, and a savage death to behold as the shotgun just goes through the wall. The problem for Texas Tech isn't necessarily their big grandiose roams, it's their inability to win gunfights. They have basically half their players have 0 kills whatsoever, and it's just something that we tend to not see from the side of Texas Tech. They're a roster that is known for their mechanical skill and winning gunfights. Now, fortunately for them, they're electing to go to a completely different bomb site. And like I said in the previous round, we need to see Texas Tech do a roam together, where they are pushing together as a cohesive defensive unit. Because when you have Cryptix by himself over in Master Bedroom, he gets slammed. He is a great player. He has great mechanical skill. It doesn't matter, though. He's going to lose that gunfight 100% of the time because he won't be able to challenge both those angles at the same time. Texas Tech needs to play and participate together. And the scoreboard says it all. 3 members of Texas Tech have yet to find this scoreboard.
I got to admit, Chief, I am a little bit surprised, actually. I mean, of course, that isn't all that surprising to hear from me, but not just in the way this is shaking out, but in the way that Texas Tech find themselves in such, I guess, a down bad position right now. I mean, you've got Bait. You've mentioned his T3 leadership, that game knowledge that he possesses so much could be utilized to help out Texas Tech here. But we're not only seeing micro positioning mistakes from many players, but we're seeing just overall structural mistakes from this team. One of them was blatantly obvious. 3 times going to the exact same site in a row, doing the exact same strategy, no less, and losing in the exact same way. There really isn't much excuse for that, especially from an IGL with so much experience in the Siege world. A mistake that now Texas Tech are finally going to be switching up, going towards this first floor bomb site. Kitchen will finally be the play here. But can they change things around? Because Illinois State have looked very strong so far. They are shutting down these gunners, and they are making it happen, and they are making it look easy. If Texas Tech have no answer, Illinois State are going to continue to roll them, and they are going to continue to rack up these round wins to boot.
Fatal Fister is able to rotate over into the pink bar. That might be a strong position, but it also could be his burial ground, as he is stuck in a box with no hope of leaving. But Illinois State, the Redbirds, do not want to deal with him as of yet, and he actually may have rotated out. Perplexing that he was able to do this constantly. Now here comes a vertical destruction, working in favor of the attacker. There's a lot of damage being dealt towards the dock, but he's able to re-stim himself up. And Espen, it is a bad day to be Valkyries, as they're always seem to be the first person dead. Another individual that has been struggling to find the scoreboard, hooked up and is in a very curious position. He's able to win the gunfight. Cryptix is just too aggressive. The re-swing is able to work out perfectly. Texas Tech finds 2. They are the first time showing some life in this round. And Gassy on the other side of the map, trying to pick off more members of the Red Bull.
Now in a 2v3, it's Gassy Gamer and Fatal Fister left alone to make things happen. You've got Patience, Harabic, and Snail who are continuing this vertical pressure, and now Snail rotating around looking to get a possible plant down on this service side. This will of course be the next step, and with that smoke down covering the rotate and the door, brilliantly placed, and now the diffuser could easily go down, but Snail, having smoked it off, is actually not going to push on through, using those smokes rather as an opportunity to find some kills. But those kills are going in the favor of Texas Tech. Illinois State not capitalizing on what looked like a free opportunity. Snail, of course, has 2 more smoke grenades to use. 1 is going to be expended, and only 1 remains to get this plant down. Gassy, Game of Fatal Fister, they are prepared for this service side push. Now it's going to have to be Illinois State actually rotating around and establishing a crossfire here. Texas Tech now have a full advantage of the situation. Snail desperate to push on through and getting almost nearly taken down because of it. Patience finds 1, but immediately the response is found, and now it's a 1v1, and Fatal Fister makes it happen. Texas Tech finally find their footing, and they will take round 4.
And here comes the problem with going to a bomb site 3 times in a row. Kitchen will be locked off to Texas Tech, assuming that we do not go into overtime. But more importantly, they've been able to win a round, so they have stopped the bleeding, at least for now. They're going to have to bring out a completely different bomb site since Hookah has yet to be the play. They're going to elect to bring out Bar. Now, if we utilize statistics from a different T3 League Storm competitive series, Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar is actually the best bomb site in the entire league, assuming that it's been played more than 10 times, with a 74% win rate for the defense. And the reason that is a thing is simply because the defense has the opportunity of expanding their bomb site into kitchen, and it becomes very difficult for the attackers to execute. Even if they do a plant behind the bomb chassis, the attackers are in strong positions, or the defense is in strong positions where they can just lob utility all the way from T-Hunt as well from jungle.
Well, Blue Bar and Sunrise. Now the story of round number 5. You said it, Chief. The 3 same sites in a row now makes Texas Tech here. They're going to have a tough time really finding their footing, figuring out where they want to defend. But thank God we are not seeing hookah and billiards again. We're going straight downstairs to this tertiary bomb site. Now, what I love about this bomb site, Chief, is the fact that it doesn't just play as your typical bomb site. What's so cool about this site, at least in my opinion, is the fact that Coastline really works its full magic as the entire map comes into play for any of these bomb sites. If it's Blue Bar, if that's the attack you want to get underway, you've got to take main lobby control, because the wall into jungle can often be breached with a bunch of ankle holes and prevent a plant from going down. Same thing goes for hookah. You need to get the vertical pressure going on the attack, so the entire map is relevant to get this attack going more so than other sites. And with Harabic taking down Fatal Fister, Illinois State are looking to establish that control early. Hooked Up has 100% knowledge of where Gassy Gama is positioned, and the Doc has no idea that his position is known. This could be very problematic for the Doc, and it will be as Hooked Up narrowly misses the shots, but Patience is trying to find the cutoff point around in kitchen, but isn't quite able to get the timing right, instead opting to get more information coming down for his team rather than the frags. Gassy gonna stim on up in a crucial moment as the shots ran on through from the kitchen window, now being pinched from everywhere. The main stairs pressure as well building. He finds one, but not before cut down by another. Espen on the flank, though, working his way down main stairs. This could be big, but the attackers don't seem to be fully aware of the Valkyrie's position. Espen and Cryptix, they're cast in this 2v4 situation. They have quite make up once again.
The thing is, there's no defenders on the bomb side. A nice drone for the Redbirds will confirm there's nobody anywhere close, and it's going to be a free plant. Snail's going to start that, and it's going to force Espen to rotate back. He's able to find 1 kill. Fortune is now down, but Harabic cleans it up. It's now 1v3. The Valkyrie's in a terrible position. He has been known. Over by jungle, he's going to take a gunfight, able to win it. A nice headshot, getting closer to being able to be successful in this round. but the attackers have basically gone outside. They are nowhere near the diffuser. Actually, they're going to elect to sit on the diffuser like a mother hen, and they're just going to waste as much time as possible. Snail is on a tight angle. It's pretty much over for Espen unless the Nitrocell finds a target. Shot away, and Espen able to win one, but not the final, the most important kill. And Illinois State wins another round.
Well, it is looking pretty cut and dry for Coastline, at least so far. 4-1 now, the scoreline. Illinois State continuing to really display utter coordination, the likes that personally I have not seen from this team in the past. We talked about how important quote-unquote vibing is sometimes, and really it seems that it's absolutely working out for them. The comms
Do you mean cool vibes?
Spicy. Oh no. I can't. God, Chief, no, never again. But anyway, back to the point at hand here. Illinois State, they're making it happen. The cool vibes, Chief, they are present in the comms of the Redbirds right now, and they seem to be, I guess, flying high above a Texas Tech roster that just hasn't seemed to have the answer just quite yet. Of course, there's still one round. You're going back to Blue Bar and Sunrise. Maybe this is where the momentum finally swings and turns into Texas Tech's favor. But it has not been guns up for this team. It has simply been the Redbirds flying all over them, quickly taking map control and continuing to just be belligerent on these sites. Texas Tech have found no footing. They have found no traction. Illinois State are looking clean.
What was concerning me about the previous round was the fact that nobody brought a shotgun, which means that nobody shot out the quad wall. The adaptation has now been made since Bait is going to be bringing out that smoke. And we are critical of players in the previous round, previous map, Snail not finding impact. Well, it's the other IGL's turn to find no impact, as Bait has yet to really find the scoreboard. And like we were saying during our pregame, back before map 1 even started, Texas Tech is a roster that is known for their pure mechanical skill. And on the map that is designed to, well, show off mechanical skill, Texas Tech has been struggling to do so. They need to make an adaptation. Now, they can still be learning from their mistakes and from their successes and re-engineer that when they go over to attack, but they need to start to make those adaptations ASAP.
Well, it appears that one of those changes could be a bit more passivity, but as I say that, Fatal Fister is going to make me eat my words, it seems, contesting this Office's push quite heavily. There's a good bit of attacking pressure mounting outside. You've got Hooked Up and Snail both contesting this angle. Of course, they are nervous about the player behind the Office wall. They know how much it could be disastrous for them, and it will be. Snail is going to get cut down, and Cryptix finds another off-screen, taking down Patience. So Illinois State, they find themselves in a tough position for, I guess, the first time on attack. The two-man disadvantage now in their hands, and Hooked Up gonna swing, trying to make it happen, but the stun will not land on the Legion. The headshot will land, however, on the Zofia. Fortra and Harabic, all that remains of now what seems to be a flustered Illinois State attack.
It seems like the members of Texas Tech, well, listen to us. We said that they needed to win gunfights, and all of a sudden they win 3 very important gunfights. But I also have to be a little bit critical of the Redbirds. They didn't do their job droning enough. And Valkyrie is going to find himself very far away from the building, out all the way in the grapes. Not sure what his, well, idea behind that was, but he's returned back to his bomb site. That was free information to the final remaining member of the Redbirds, who's going to have to push solo. It's going to be a very awkward position to be, but Ashes are good at that after all.
I guess so. The 1v5, or at least the big ace, the big stylish plays are definitely Ash's forte, but I don't believe a 1v5 against Texas Tech with 30 seconds maybe Fortra's forte here, or anybody's for that matter. But it does give us time to really talk about the adjustment that Texas Tech just made. And I think the real micro positioning changes really weren't there. They didn't make any sweeping changes. It was really just winning their gunfights, winning those ones. If you opt to take as many gunfights as Texas Tech often do, you need to win those ones. And at least in round number 6, they made it happen. They took the round, and going ahead to their defensive half, or their attacking half rather, maybe we will see them turn on the jets and really get that defensive or attacking aggression going and stall out the defensive pressure that Illinois State will now have to, I guess, showcase for us here.
Yeah, this map might just be an attacker sided day, We just never know until we've actually seen round 7 play out, and you've seen the majority of these attacking rounds. And statistically, teams that do start an attack first in a map tend to have a higher percentage of winning. So at least the Redbirds have that in their back pocket, and they also have positive momentum. Sure, they're able to lose. They did lose round 6, but nonetheless, their snowball was growing by 4 rounds. And you can see the ban phase also working in favor of the attacking roster. They had the opportunity of bringing out the Thatcher, and said they're going to be 6-picking into a true secondary entry of that Sophia. And something that is also very interesting, we don't see a single hard breacher. Ace is available, Habana is available, and in theory, you could bring out one of those pocket thermite charges on somebody like a Lion. But Texas Tech says hard breachers are lair.
Well, I guess it's going to have to be round number 7. You said it, Chief. It's all about how it actually shakes up on game day. It's not about, I mean, we can make as many predictions as we often do about how important a particular round is, or how important a certain half or a particular moment is. But at the end of the day, it is all about playing the game and seeing how it shakes out. This is the first time we are going to see Texas Tech make their attack on this Illinois defense, and it's going to have to be clean. The momentum is going to have to be there very early on. Early on Coastline, pretty much in round number 1, we talked about the importance of setting the pace, getting that rhythm going for your team, and the rhythm is certainly there for Illinois State. And with Harabic, oh my goodness, just being absolutely aggressive, absolutely punishing to Texas Tech. That is a heartbreaking loss for Texas Tech early on.
That is another one of these brain dead spawn peaks that should never work. You should be punished 1,000% of the time for doing that. Maybe not in ranked, but in comp, there's no way that should be active. Now it's going to be on Texas Tech to do their due diligence on the roam clear. Has been confirmed by Elysian Mine. He'll be finished off by Patience, who's going to be re-challenged from above by the holes being made by Sledge. Damage dealt, but Patience is going to be the loser of that exchange. Under 10 HP, he's in a very bad position, but most importantly, he's still alive, which means the Redbirds are going to continuously have that man disadvantage. Now, a lot of utility and time is being put in to deal with this kitchen service pressure. And remember, the bomb site is on the 2nd floor over by Hookah. Texas Tech has become very tunnel vision, and they want to deal with these roamers. You kill 2 of us, we try to kill 2 of you.
Yeah, it seems the setup from Illinois State is simply perplexing to Texas Tech, and accordingly, they're just finding their graves time and time again. Fatal Fister also dropped into the 6-foot grave. It's up to Bait and Gassy Gama to make this one happen. The shots exchanged with this Hookah player, as it does seem finally that Texas Tech realized actually where they actually have to attack, but it does seem a little bit too late. You've got 5 defenders just waiting for you to walk into their open arms, and they know exactly where the push is coming from. Gassy's position is known, and the Toxic Babe will confirm that very fact, as Snail is simply going to wait behind the vase, wait for the push to come through. Doesn't matter for Fortra, though. Despite knowing where Bait was pushing from, the Twitch finds the headshot onto 1, onto 2. A good flick there onto Hooked Up. So ISU now feeding kills to the Twitch. Pushing up in Aqua, this could be the footing that Texas Tech needed to bring this round back. But with 30 seconds left and the time consistently dwindling away, things are going to get even tougher for this attacking team.
The F2 is an absolute gnarly gun. You don't want to be in the receiving end, but the defenders have plenty of utility. The smoke grenades have gone out, but that was the final one being utilized. Bait is now on the bomb site, just trying to pre-fire his way into success. Nobody's home from the Redbirds. They are not going to peek himself. Gassy works his way to the bomb site, a pure sprint, shotgun in hand, and now it's going to be Phil. Snail's going to get the credit for that kill. Bait with his pistol. He's just hunting through the wall, but there's nobody there outside the map. Bait has been bamboozled, and he will lose the round. Illinois State able to take their first round on defense, and it's not looking good for the boys from Texas.
Well, defensive-sided map, attacker-sided map, maybe it's an Illinois-sided map. I mean, it could simply be that. It's a Redbird-sided map. I mean, it seems that Texas Tech just can't figure it out right now. Whatever is wrong, whatever is going on there, I mean, it's just going to be a big question mark. The only thing we know for certain, and that's the thing we can see very clearly by the scoreline right now, ISU are on a tear, and they are not slowing down. They are simply better right now. They show no signs of stopping. Their defensive half, great. Their attacking half, so far, one round under their belt, great. All they have to do is continue the pressure, and a ticket to the grand finals is theirs. They are so close to that prize, just a couple of rounds from that position.
It is still a long task to be held. It could be upwards of 10 minutes, and you have to be laser focused the entire way through. And we've also seen rosters get very fatigued in best of 3 series. If you're not used to them, they can be quite jarring. And particularly if you're used to playing in the preseason games or the mid-season games where you're going against opponents who aren't quite at your skill level, because in collegiate play, there is quite a range of teams. You have players who have spent a very long time in T3, and then you have others that have spent no time in T3. And that difference, well, tends to stack and it tends to show. And obviously both these rosters are here today showing that they're able to compete at the upper echelon of CR6 and Collegiate, but as well as participating well in T3. Now, Texas Tech will be released from their spawn, and they're going to be forced to start clearing the map. We're going to start over here on the opposite side, being facilitated by the Jackal, but he is not walking in with a drone. He's walking in with his face forward.
The face-checking game, a dangerous one to say the least, but one that can work out if you're playing the extremely aggressive play style that, at least in this round, it does seem that Texas Tech are hoping to get underway. They're zooming through offices, zooming through blue bar. The next step, zoom through the kitchen and get that bomb on the ground. They're starting to get that information, and if Illinois State aren't careful here, the understaffed site could be a big problem. You've got 2 players tucked up on that bathroom side, and you've got Cryptics trying to figure out exactly where the remaining players are. There's one, that's Harabic, located upstairs on that extended roam, and he's going to get pressured from all sides here, but Patience will be there to support the Jaeger. But Texas Tech could either opt for this clear or opt for a site push. That's another anchor now taken off the board. Fortra has been cut down. Cryptics knows where the Jaeger is, and Espen and Gassy Gama are pressuring on this site. Bait has the crossfire in the kitchen, and now with the drone peppering on through, once they deal with hooked up, this could very well be an execute to be unleashed. But with Patience now making his position known, taking down Fatal Fister, that's going to be tougher. But the site pressure is already there. Bait's going to walk on in. Hooked up has to deny it, and now Hooked Up is stuck in a 1v3. The pings are there. He knows where the push is coming from, but can the 81 bullet save him? He's going to have to reload, and it's going to take him quite a bit of time to pull that off. The stuns are going to rain through, and here comes the push. The Zofia drop down, but Gassy Gama makes it happen, and Texas Tech refuse to be out of this fight early. They will take round number 8.
That was quite a sloppy execute by all 10 players, if I do say so. We saw in Texas Tech, they were saying, you know what, let's go for the roam clear. Let's push together. In the exact same scenario, oddly enough, that we are talking about before map 3 started. And then you can see Bait said, no, we don't need to go for the roam clear. We're just going to go for the on-site push. However, the on-site push was never really coordinated where it was 3, 2, 1, execute. Instead, members of Texas Tech just started to push in as individuals. And it almost cost them that round. You saw Bait looking in the wrong direction, and the thing was, they had line of sight over by the shelving unit. So they knew that the Alda would have had to rotate, well, into their line of sight or stayed still. And since he didn't leave the line of sight, that means he's still behind the shelving unit. Bait was a little bit too aggressive there. If he pushed with his roster, it would have turned out completely different. And you can see why this map is attacker sided. The attackers start to get the opening kill. They set up a 360 crossfire. Their boa constrictor strategies are just too powerful. The defenders just start to crumble.
Yeah, not to mention there are just so many positions for attackers to really start to gain their footing on Coastline. I mean, just on that roam clear alone, you could enter from VIP, you could enter from Penthouse, you could enter from Luggage Stairs, you could enter from Aqua. All of that opportunity you have to clear out that top floor and start the vertical pressure and clear out those anchors is huge. It's so quick for attackers to actually get that map control on this map compared to others. That's exactly right, Chief. This is why the map can be so attacker-sided at points, because it is hard to not only anchor onto these sites that lend itself to vertical play, but it's hard to roam when attackers can pinch you from all sides. All it takes is a little bit of coordination, a lot of information, and simply an IGL willing to make the call to devote to that roam clear. Texas Tech made it happen just one round ago, and it worked out for them. We need to see that same level of coordination from them going forward. They have to figure out a way to counter what Illinois State is bringing to the table. And right now, you see it, it's the same. You've got Harabic in the exact same position, soon to be pressured from all sides. Espen knows exactly where the Jaeger is, so Harabic will have to make a quick retreat down back towards Blue Bar and will escape back to the site.
Where's the coverage from Texas Tech? Oh my lord, they got very tunnel vision on the Jaeger, but they didn't think about all of his escape avenues. If they post somebody up over by the Blue Bar window or potentially open up office, that hatch drop would have been suicide. And we're talking about off stream, actually, the steps that an IGL needs to make. You identify the utility of the defenders, you identify the operators, you make the rotation of the attacker utility to deal with step 1 and 2, which again is the operator and the operator's utility, and then you create an execute where you actually go for that pick. And Texas Tech did a solid job at that, identifying those mistakes, but they didn't go to it enough. They needed to basically put more of their utility into dealing with an offsite pressure. And here comes a vertical destruction. It will almost be denied by Nitrocell, but it did miss its target. So fortunately for Fatal, he's still alive and more or less well.
Yeah, everyone alive and well, and as I say that, though, Hooked Up will be that first player cut down and in his 6-foot grave, in Texas Tech looking to start that pressure onto the bomb site. Of course, Fortra has something to say about that, taking down Fatal Fister, and Snail going to get just into within an inch of his life here. The Smoke now a key player in these last closing seconds of the round to stall out the push, but now at dangerous low HP. The vertical pressure is there. Espen spots Snail, and Snail caught out in a very awkward position, finding the grave eventually. Texas Tech, once again, they're on the front foot here. They're on the aggression, but Harabic, looking to shut that down, knows the service pressure is coming. But the off-site pressure is all that remains for Illinois State here, and the pressure from Texas Tech is converging from all sides. Cryptics, a triple kill now, only one more to find, and that is Patience. The Legion prevails in that gunfight, but has to prevail in 3 more. Espen denies it, shuts it down. Texas Tech start to bring things back in round 9.
So we found out that Hookah was Texas Tech's kryptonite, and it seems like Kitchen is going to be the Redbirds' kryptonite, where they just can't find their foothold, they can't defend these bomb sites, and fortunately for the Redbirds, the only bomb site that they've been able to win on defense, Hookah, has now opened back up to them. So surprise, surprise, they're going to elect to bring out that site. Now, Texas Tech, there is some silver lining to this. They have seen this bomb site before, and if they learn from their lessons all the way back in round 7, they could be successful. But the last time we're here, they just got so darn tunnel vision, destroying the defenders over by Kitchen. Imagine if they went for their execute, because only one of those players had a Nitrocell. If you set up flank launch or flank drones on those stairwells, you could have shut them down as they entered up the Cool Vibe stairs or the White stairs, gone for a quick execute, and it would change the course of the round. And sometimes in IGL, you have to be thinking of contingency plans the entire round.
Well, in terms of overall attacking strategy that we've seen on this bomb site so far tonight, it's really been Illinois State, at least, they've found by doing that billiards take every single time. We saw them, they got control from the roof, they locked off the flanks from the luggage hallway, they pushed into Aqua, they pushed on in to billiards, and they got that default plant down as soon as possible. Maybe Texas Tech should be looking to do a very similar strategy. Of course, something more direct has its risks as well as its rewards, but sometimes you said it perfectly, Chief. You have to consider really how you want to play it out. You have to weigh not only the consequences, but the opportunity cost. If you spend so much time on the roam clear, as useful as a roam clear may be, even if you get that cleared, what are you losing in the process? You're losing not only quite a bit of time, but utility that could equally be devoted onto the site itself and prepped for that execute. If we see that Aqua focus from Texas Tech, just like we saw from ISU on the other side of the coin, maybe that is the way that Texas Tech can find this final round to bridge the gap and equalize things at 5-5.
Drones are going down range. They're going to start to locate members of the Redbirds, and it's going to be a very interesting position. Will Beta say, you know what, we're going to deal with this offsite pressure? Or, you know what, we're going to full send. He doesn't have a lot of time to think about this since 1 minute has already been spent. This is a very slow execute. There is nobody anywhere near the east, and yet somehow Texas Tech has managed to waste over a minute in this clear. They're going to also have to start to rotate members of their attackers to the west side of the map, because if they have a very linear take all from the east, well, they won't be able to set up crossfires, but they're still also going to have to watch those stairwells. If at minimum, you put one attacker over by Big Window, and you put one to deny the run out over by Hookah, and that should be good enough. But they're also going to still have to deal with the deployable shield being played by Aqua.
This is an interesting deployable shield because it's actually, if you think about it, quite a strong position to hold, at least early round, because it's going to take quite a toss for the attackers to actually force that deployable shield away. And with the hatch reinforced, you can't approach it from below with no hard breach utility at all. You can't approach it from the Aquabalk side because there's a player watching the Aquabalk door. The nade's gonna rain on out, but Fortra found Fatal Fister while the nade was being cooked. So that position has now done its job. It's net the kill, and now it's net the advantage to Illinois State again. Cryptics though, the gun skill prevails, finding the answer that Texas Tech needed. Bait with the follow-up, taking down Harabic. Texas Tech now are building this pressure on this Aqua side. You've got Espen working the way up, but the one thing you have to worry about now is patience on that main stairs flank.
There's the all that's able to find one. He's going to have to force to go and just look in a different direction. There are members in his crosshair. He finds one, but it's still an equal man advantage to trades back and forth. Patience might keep his team in this round. So the diffuser has surrendered. That's going to force Gassy to deal with this as quickly as possible. Shots being pre-fired. Gassy does pick up the diffuser. He's going to go for the plant right in front of Patience, and it's just a free kill for Patience. Oh, a huge blunder by Gassy. He went for the sprint. Ash tossing the round in incredible fashion. Get a keycap puller and remove your shift key, please.
The iconic chief line there, the aggression dial that you hate, the shift W iconic maneuver that ends so many players, it seems, in their graves. It's good to hear it again, Chief. It's good to be back in the booth with you, my friend. And
I know. It's so frustrating though. Imagine if Ash was gun up in that scenario. If they just did a quick peek, that would have been completely different because Legion wasn't ADSing. Ash would have had the advantage. Her R4C does more damage, and especially in that close range. And also, she has a 1x compared to the 1.5x. So in that range, Ash has every advantage, except when you're holding shift.
Well, not only will that get Chief to go off on his shift key tangent, it will also get Illinois State all eyes on match point now. Not only that, but it's a 2-round deficit for Texas Tech. The underdog story is nearly complete. The Redbirds, so close to booking their grand finals ticket. It is just slightly out of reach for Texas Tech right now, but they are not out of this fight. 2 rounds is all that they need. These players need to wake up. They need to find their groove and do so on this penthouse and theater attack. The question marks, I know they're there in your mind as well as ours. An interesting site to choose to go to, but all of these choices, all of these fun little quirks that you can throw in, maybe that's enough to put this underdog team over the edge.
I can't believe I'm about to say these words, JC. Penthouse actually might be stronger than we think right now.
Oh no.
Because remember, Texas Tech hasn't run a hard breacher once. So what makes this bomb site really strong is two strategies. You as a defender either do a full expansion into VIP and basically turn the entire east side of the map into your bomb site, or you bunker down and hope to God the attackers don't open up a wall. Well, they've gone for the latter of those options, and the attackers will not be opening up a single wall because there's no hard breach whatsoever. So Illinois State needs to just sit back, relax, and wait for Texas Tech to work their way through fatal funnels. Now, that also means that the Redbirds can't be too aggressive, but also, I just want to say, maybe this is Snail just doing what Snail does best, BMing.
It could be. It could be. And we're going to have to see how Texas Tech approach this very thing. You mentioned the hard breach problem, and they're going to have to really get guns up. They're going to have to clear out this map as soon as possible. You've got Patience now trapped in a very tough position on the couch at the top of luggage stairs here. But nobody's capitalizing on that. You've got nobody on the window rappel. You've simply got the 90 pressure and the luggage pressure. Patience allowed to find a kill there. Espen getting cut down, a huge blunder, and a second. Patience finding two, looking for the third, but finally denied. Gassy Gama making one happen, unhooked up in the meantime as well. Texas Tech, they're still in this fight. Gassy Gama's gonna have to do what Gassy Gama does best, swing into the site, be unexpected, and find some heads to click on. Fortra's going to be looking down that long angle from theater, hoping to deny that from there, and you've got Harabik, who's now rotated back to site to join the team and stalling out this push. But Harabik's going to go for the aggression, shift Wing into that site, now playing a prone angle onto the bathroom. This could be huge here, but the drone work is going to have to come out. It's going to come out for bait as Fortra finds the grave. Harabik on the swing, a risky one here, but with everything on the line, Illinois State looking to close this one out in style.
There might be some hope for the attacking team. They're going to have to win their gunfight. Snail's going to start to end that hope as he gets one with his Alta. He lines up a second one, unable to control the recoil. It's a pure spray for him, forced to go to his reserve mags, and it's going to be, well, fatal. Able to find one. The diffuser is still in the back pocket of bait. He has the opportunity of planning. Since the Redbirds are all on the south side of theater, it could be a free plant. He's destroyed the electric utility, but the audio cue of that bomb will prompt members of Illinois State to start to swing, and they'll swing straight into Texas Tech. They're able to win round one, moving us over to round 12. The high-risk fray of moving into the quaternary bomb site did not work at all for the Redbirds.
Saying it didn't work at all may be a bit strong. I think it was just so close from pulling it out. A couple of swings, you saw how they got so eager. Harabik going for the retake, it seemed, of the master site, and well, that one didn't pay off. He had to rotate around and eventually really couldn't do much but rotate back to site and hope to really retain the control as much as they could, but that control was soon forfeit, and Texas Tech got the plant down and got the round win. Now they only stand one round away. The comeback is in the works, but they need to do it one more time. And Chief, are you seeing what I might be seeing here? Unless my eyes deceive me, the Redbirds, they might be going back to Penthouse and Theater.
We're not on cameras right now, but I have my hands over my eyes. Oh boy, Jay-Z.
Oh boy.
I mean, obviously, the Redbirds are like, you know what, guys? I don't want to go to Double Bar. Double Bar, that ain't for me. You know what I like? Our nice, relaxing stay in the master bedroom with our theater. You know, we can watch some movies, some Netflix and chill, but there's no chill on this side of the Redbirds as they got slaughtered. And you're right. They were able to hold the fences for a little bit. And that Meister Evil Eyes on the northmost wall of VIP, and Bandit was trying to put the Bandit battery there. I mean, Snail, you do you. Okay, he's now rotated his Bandit back over to finish the reinforcing and electrifying the wall. That was a little bit of a wasted time and bad coordination. But the very important adaptation that they made is putting an evil eye on that one, which is exactly where Bait planted last. And Bait has also changed roles. He decided he doesn't want to bring out his Twitch. He wants to be on the Ash.
Not to mention the Yana is also coming out. You've got Gassy Gamer bringing that Gemini drone that you could call it, that the Yana brings. It can be so key for those crucial, I guess, aggressive last second pushes where you can play off the drone, especially when you have to feed through the fatal funnels that you like to call them, Chief. Those doorways that really often net the defenders so many kills. Throw a Yana drone in there, shake up the way it plays out, and maybe shake up the course of a round entirely. Fatal Fister is now slowly becoming aware of what exactly the Redbirds have done here. Going back to the same site again, this very interesting quaternary bomb site. But now with that knowledge and realizing that they once again made the mistake of not bringing a hard breach at all, it's going to have to be a Hall of Fame send or some kind of theater push if this attack is going to go well. But the change from ISU here, you've got Hooked Up playing this VIP extension. He's the one player you have to deal with first. Interesting enough that Texas Tech aren't going to pressure the massive double window that's sitting right behind the Bandit that could net them a free kill, especially with Bait on this crossfire. But for now, the time is being delayed, and Illinois State are happy to sit back, relax, enjoy a movie, eat some popcorn, and wait for Texas Tech to make it happen.
The thing is, I think Texas Tech is a little bit afraid of taking VIP right now because they're afraid of a wide swing from 90. Nonetheless, they've now dealt with that power position, but they need to do a little bit more. They can't open this triple wall at all since they've refused to bring a hard breacher, and they're going to have to go for their 1v1 exchanges, which might work out well for Texas Tech. Their roster known for winning ones, even though Cryptex will be unable to do so. He now falls to 90, the power position that they're fearful of so long ago. And Harabic's going to start to retake the map, pushing his way closer to Aqua. But S-Pin is right there. He's so close. He can hear the audio cue. He gets too focused on the Claymore. S-Pin gets the kill, and Patience is now forced to rotate to the bottom floor as he is charged not with Nitrocell denial, but with Impact Check denial.
And now in the closing 30 seconds, this situation doesn't really favor either team just yet. I'd argue both of these teams remain on equal footing despite the man disadvantage in the favor of these Redbirds here. Bait trying to get an unknown theater pressure here. He's going to alt walk on up, and he's going to be completely unknown, but a bad timing of the Shift W is going to find him in the grave. Gassy Gama finds one just before that, and the plant now going down. The C4 denies it. That's huge. It's Gassy Gama now in a 1v2 and no time on the clock. The plant has to be stuck, and Illinois State will take it. The clutch C4, the penthouse theater pick, working out in the end.
What a round, what a series. And the Redbirds able to move on. They were the underdogs in postseason. Nobody expected them to even get to the Final Four, but they have made it past the Final Four. They have made it into the grand finals, where they're going to have to deal with a monstrosity. That is the Matt Squared roster. One of the most feared units, not only in collegiate play, but also in T3. And I have to say, Texas Tech, the favorites to win this game, they didn't perform as well as everybody would have liked. And honestly, they put up a great fight. They tried their hardest, but at the end of the day, it was the Redbirds who were better.
Well, I will make a little correction there, Chief. Akron will be the team
You're
awaiting
right.
them in the final.
You're right.
You were so excited about IMAD.
I was so excited for Flonson IMAD and Hennessy.
You'll get to see that in some other leagues. They're on their way up, but Akron has been at the top already. They've got nothing to prove. All they need to do is sit back and dominate every team they come across. They've done it time and time again. They just did it to Georgia, and now the next team they have to steamroll is ISU. Well, of course, Illinois State don't want that to happen, and they're going to be doing their best to complete the seemingly impossible underdog story we have on our hands. But really impressive stuff from the Redbirds right now, storming ahead in these playoffs, unexpected, taking down not only Purdue in a tremendous upset, but taking down Texas Tech in an even bigger upset. Great stuff from this team right now, and really maybe this is what they need. Maybe the momentum carrying them through CR6 is just what they need to take on Akron in the Premier Invite League Finals for all the marbles.
You just need a fire underneath your toes. You need your snowball to start to spin and get bigger and bigger. Because I think as soon as Redbirds understood, we have a chance of winning this, they just took it and run and they never looked back. Sure, they're making mistakes, but their opponents, Texas Tech, were also making very similar mistakes. And it just came down to who was mitigating mistakes the least or the most, technically. And that was the Redbirds at the end of the day.
Well, we've got our interview on our hands now. We've got Patience, the captain of ISU, in the building. Patience, first of all, how are you feeling after that
Bro,
victory?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm shaking a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. Like, dude, my emotions were getting the best of me right there, but we pulled through.
How did you make it happen? What was the secret sauce that put you over the top?
Um, when we lost on Oregon, we tried having fun on Clubhouse. That's what we did. We were messing like not we weren't messing around, but we were just having fun. We were throwing jokes, and everything just turned around. Like the mood, the vibe, and we won club, and then we took a break, and then we went to Coastline, and we had a big lead, and then our emotions were definitely getting to us, but we stayed level-headed and took the dub.
Well, Chief, what do you got for him?
I have to ask, Penthouse Theater, what on earth was that?
We're goaded.
It's
Oh,
Snail's
there's
in here
people
too.
here too, it
Yeah,
sounds
Snail's
like.
in here
Hello,
too
Snail.
for a double interview. But I mean, last week we were getting interviewed on how we feel getting taking Purdue to Coastline, and that's why. I mean, we feel good with Coastline. It's not about how good the team is. Like Coastline's a really good map for us, and I mean, Penthouse, it's without Mira. I mean, it's just like gun skill. Like just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. So, what is your plans moving forward as you go towards the grand finals? Are you going to be showing this map pool that you have been throughout postseason? Or are you going to be mixing things up a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. We didn't scrim at all last week, and I told my team. I said if we win this match tonight, I was using some swear words, but I was like, if we win this match tonight, I will scrim every day. Every day, I will scrim every day next week to beat Akron. I don't know if they won yet. Did they? I'm not sure on that.
They did, yes.
Okay, I will scrim every single day to beat Akron. So we're gonna put in the work. We're gonna put in the work necessary, and I mean we're ready for it. We're gonna get ready for it.
So, forget about Snail and the VC right now. Mr. Team Captain, how do you orchestrate your roster to success when Mr. Snail is dropping a fat donut in map one?
Whoa.
Okay,
whoa,
so
whoa.
like we talked this through, and that's kind of the reason why we were vibing second map is because of that happened. Every time we played Oregon, Snail is just dropping donuts. Back in summer league, we played Oregon against UDEM. It was same situation, Final Four. Snail went 0-10 on the third map. Like nothing wrong with it. I think it was 1-10. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's just not. We figured out it was just not his map. Like I mean, I don't know. And then we had the game against Purdue. I think he dropped 0 kills as well. So it's just Oregon, honestly.
No,
And
no,
I mean,
they're
like I
good.
said, we kind of went through with that, stay level headed. I was like, Snail, like, don't worry about it, bro. It's just not your map. Move on. Clubhouse, coastline, he's just fragging.
Snail, I want to get your perspective on this as well. So we did our fair share of dragging you through the mud. Some deserved, some not on map number one. But you bounced back. You really became a new Snail. You didn't go super negative. You really actually went even. In fact, so impressive stuff, Snail. How did you pivot from that probably terrible mental state into the Snail that we saw in those next two maps and the Snail that helped lead his team to victory?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. The mental state usually like pretty consistent, but
I think it was because of
So,
me, what I
yeah,
was saying.
patience keeps it pretty even. Yeah, he helps me out a lot. I think where the mental maybe hit a little bit of dent is they threw an ace charge on like the freezer wall, and I had the SMG-11. I whiffed like 6 bullets on it, and I'm like, oh well, this is not good. And then I proceed to get fried the next second by the Ash swinging around the corner. But I mean, my team's always got my back, and like as you saw against like Purdue, we kind of attack a lot better than we do defend on that map. And I mean, I know the boys can carry me a little bit when I'm kind of like in really bad positioning and stuff like that. That's a map that we all need to work more on, and we'll figure it out. I will find a way to stop dropping.
And
down
just to tag along that last statement, like with him getting carried, he's the brains of it though. Like that's why he's now IGL. Is because like he's our planner. Nobody else wants to plant. Like, let's be honest. He's running their head down. I got the plant, guys. Like, it's. I mean, we need it. You know, it makes the team whole. So
It
All right.
absolutely does.
So I have
Go
to
ahead.
ask, how do you convert your caster aim to caster aim?
My what? Caster brain to caster aim?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I mean, well, a lot of it's like, well, if you cast games, you kind of see what other people do that works.
True.
And like, I'm be honest, like when I'm going up against like Gassy Gamma out there, there's just no world in which I win a gunfight. Like I set a goal for myself. Like, you need to kill Gassy Gamer once this entire 3-map series. Like, you need to kill him once. And I wall banged him through a window. And I was like, we did it. We did it. We killed Gassy Gamer. No, but he's cracked. I mean, it's just kind of like do things that people don't expect. Lay down in your stomach a few times.
hey, shout out Gassy. I'm in his most recent video.
Yeah.
I told him that. But anyways,
Yeah. I mean, I just want to point the other fact, like, there's a little bit of motivation kind of in this because I need to say a quote from Crip. He goes, he says, "Can we just play Akron already in the finals?" And my response was, Purdue's standing in your way. Well, Purdue didn't get here, so we're standing in your way. And I mean, they're a hell of a team. It was a hell of a fought game, but
absolutely.
I don't know. We have that resiliency. I didn't believe that. I didn't know we could even do 3 maps with that level. I was a little bit, teeter-tottering, but my team has my back all the time. So,
Amazing.
we've turned out all right.
Well, it's great to hear you guys, obviously feeling so confident, really, really loving the vibes you guys are putting out after that win. An impressive underdog story, you could call it, climbing all the way to the top. Now, Akron only in your way. It's been a great interview, boys. Thanks for coming in with a double interview. So we're gonna say goodnight. We're gonna wrap things up here, and we hugely look forward to your grand finals performance.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
have a great night.
You as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a match we just witnessed. And Chief, what an interview. These guys clearly, they love their craft, you could say. They really had a great time here tonight, clearly riding the high after that victory. Nothing else really to say other than look for these finals. Look for these grand finals because they are going to be absolutely stellar. Akron, ISU, down to the wire. It's going to be a blast. Be sure to keep an eye out for that. But until then, it's been a great night and a great week of Siege. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I have been Jays Wills, Chief, joining me in the booth. Tango Mango down on the sticks, as always. A pleasure. So we hope you all have a fantastic weekend. So long.
Oh, yo.